Up like you normally do. Not that way. Just like that.
Cook's Academy. Take your time and do not rush. Use ruby satin, silver brush. Don't use black and mix the green. Learn what blend and grayscale mean. Yes, I hope each day to earn coaching praises as I learn. I'll be an artist, wait and see. Ginger means the world to me.
Hello everyone, it's now time for Ginger Cook live and in person. Coming your way. Ginger, the floor is yours.
Hey John, I want to welcome
wait.
everybody to our Learn to Paint with Ginger on Tuesdays. And this is where we're going to do a full-fledged painting. We're going to do a 16 by 20. We're going to take this small picture that I designed of the Eiffel Tower and a bench. It's called The Gift. We'll talk a little bit about the story for that. And we're going to go ahead and get right to it because we're going to paint this. All right? And now, don't worry because we're going to leave this video up so you don't panic, get all your stuff and say she's going too fast. I'm going to explain the step by step. We're not going to do any speed stuff, but I paint pretty fast, okay? So first thing we're going to do is put out a paint palette for what we call an underpainting or a background painting that everything else is going to layer on top of. So while John's kind of giving a shout out to some of our guests and our audience out here that have tuned in on YouTube, let's just take a moment and put out some colors. If you switch me over to our palette, John, I've got, I want Cad Red Medium. And this is how you make gray, which is fun. Everybody thinks it's black and white or something, but that's not true. We're going to do ultramarine blue, and then we're going to do a tiny bit of yellow oxide, all right, like that. And then we're going to put, and I'm using a combination of Liquitex and Matisse paints, but these are heavy body paints, and we're going to put quite a bit of the white out because mostly it's going to be about 98% white, and I'll just move that sort of over this direction, pull some here. Now I'm going to grab some blue, kind of mix that in. You see how I'm doing that? Pull and squish. Then I'm going to grab about, tiny bit of red, not very much, add that, and a teeny bit of yellow. Now I'm going to start going for a gray. Once I get the recipe down or decide how dark or light I want it, now that's pretty good. That's a pretty nice gray there.
Yes, people, don't be freaked out. That was Liquitex being used.
Yeah, well, people always ask me, when I started teaching at Jerry's Artorama, and the genesis of that was about 7 years ago. I had a video out, which is no longer being published, but it was being sold on Amazon. I wanted Jerry to carry it. And I asked them to, and they said, teach at our local store and let's see what you do. Because, even though I was a very well-known published artist, that apparently didn't mean anything. So there was no sense that I could create something that people could do. And I've always known one of my best skills is teaching others how to do stuff like this. And so anyway, I did this video and so they said, come teach. And they said, by the way, we want you to feature Matisse paints. And those come from Australia. They have a kind of the monopoly on them here in the United States. All right, that's the color I want, so this dark gray. So now that I know that, I'm going to just start adding more color. Does that make sense? I got the recipe first, and then I'm always cutting, so I haven't ruined my big pile of white here. Got to cut away from it. All right, there's my gray. Now what we're going to do is take a water mister bottle, which we put here, like this, little water mister bottle, like that. I'm coming over here to our easel, John. And I bought this canvas, a 16 by 20 canvas at Michael's. It's very smooth. I'm not going to sand it. I'm going to do a slight mist, fine mist. And then because of the time element, I'm going to use what we call a Galleria number 40, a bright brush. These brushes are not inexpensive. They're about 40 bucks. They were maybe 20 years ago. Who knows what they cost now? Maybe that's much. I'm going to wipe it off like this. See, right under here. I put it in water. It made it damp. Now I'm going to just sort of wipe it off. Now, I will use my palette knife as sort of a extra place to get paint. Now notice I'm loading the brush on both sides like that. Now what we're going to do is, here's my easel. I'm going to lower the easel a little bit. It's an electric easel because I'm not a big fan of painting over my ear. You know, about level is where I want to paint. Then I'm going to start right about here like this, and using this brush come down and across in a weaving pattern, just like I do with the smaller pictures, like that. And this brush carries a huge amount of paint. There are some counterfeits to this brush, and they don't work. They don't carry the paint like you want them to, and it'll be frustrating. So, and I've had one of these brushes. My other brushes kind of wear out. I've had one of these brushes for years. They also make this is a Galleria number 30 Winsor Newton. They also are 40. They also make a 30. Now see, I've done half the canvas, which is fairly impressive in what, just a few seconds, right? Now I'm going to raise the easel back up like that. Find the other petal. Up it goes. Let's just raise this back up again, and I'm going to get this bottom part right about here. So I'm out. So you can see I'm sort of scraping up the paint, and then I'm going to come over here off the palette knife, and I will have enough paint, I've mixed enough paint to pretty much have covered the whole canvas in this gray. This is a gray I use all the time. Now think about it. You can have a yellow gray, a green gray, a blue gray, a purple gray, depending on your, you know, accent color. That's why we put a little of that yellow oxide in there. Sort of and then also you can buy something called neutral gray. And I'm going to just move our picture out of the way. I want to get paint on it. Now, all right, so I'm kind of out of paint. Let's get a little bit more. Just scrape up the rest of this. Now I'm going to dip my tips of my brush, only just the tips, in water. Catch the rest of this. There we go. Just the tips. Now, there's a lot of paint on this brush. So this would be the time you come around if you wanted to and do the sides. Don't do the sides first. You'll hear me say that. Just do them afterwards. A good place to clean your brush. And this will probably take you about 5 minutes to get all the paint out of this brush. That's how much paint these guys hold. And you can kind of smooth things out. There's a little bump or something here. Maybe that was in the paint out like that. There, to pull that off. Little boo-boo like that. Okay, so there, done. And what it was that, well, maybe less than 4 minutes, okay? So that's kind of cool. Now you see, notice the paint didn't go all the way up to the metal part. You know, I just had it on the tip of this brush. Okay, so in this goes in water. I'll wash this tonight when the show's over. We'll wash that. Now, what we have to do with this is dry it. So while we're drying it, we can talk a bit about the genesis of this painting. The genesis of the painting was, you'll see this little park bench. I found this photo of a park bench on Paint My Photo, pmp-art.com, and I love that. That's sort of a copyright-free area for artists, and I love that bench. And I designed this painting around the bench with a light pole, a Christmas tree, the Eiffel Tower in the background, and this is sort of that park in front of the Eiffel Tower. And sort of made this up, but I think it might be fun. You know, you wouldn't have to put the Eiffel Tower in. You could add some more trees behind here and make it a little cove. You know, you could customize this a little bit. But anyway, this is what we're painting today. So I'm going to put that there. Well, maybe I'll put it right down here. Let's dry this. Do we have any questions, John, while I'm waiting to dry this?
I see no questions come in as of yet.
All right, so the trick is, and I'm going to show you this. The trick is, I'm going to take a piece of cardboard to speed the drying up, because I'm going to force the air back on the canvas like this, all right? And that'll be pretty fast. And maybe, John, you can tell them about some stuff we're doing while I do that, okay?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and meet you. All right, I've turned her down as much as I can. What I've got for you guys is Foxy Lady is being released this week. Let me bring that up. That's the members' release of the week. And then also we've got next week, it's going to be Skiing Home, which is this one. Yeah, I think they did something to the chat. There's some new features on it apparently, and mine also crashed. So just kind of hang in there. It's YouTube updating and doing things for us. So that's the Skiing Home. And then finally, for next January, we're going to have the Oregon coast. This is for the wave and water folk. Hey, there's my sister, Nancy. Happy birthday, Nancy. My twin sister again. Took you long enough to catch up. And that's the Oregon coast. Let's see how Ginger's doing. Let's go back to her camera. It looks like she's still working. One thing we do want to mention, we do have available gift certificates for the holiday giving season. Uh-oh, she's back. She's going to want her mic.
Oh, sorry. It's all right. I've got it
We'll
right.
come back to her.
That didn't take long. That's a good trick, you know. I think you could even put a smaller painting in a box, sort of force the air back on it. All right, so what do we got here? We've got, let's see, let's put our little picture up where I can see it now. I'm going to just, we got a little piece of Velcro here, and I'm going to Velcro it. Ha, good job. John fixed that up for me, so it's right here so I can see the picture. All right, so we've divided the horizon line in a painting, and any painting is where the sky meets the land if there are no mountains. Okay, that would be what I would tell you is the horizon line. So what we need to do then, and generally you don't want it halfway, so it's about a third of the canvas here, 16 by 20. So right about a third. So I'm just going to come along here with some chalk and draw that out here. I mean, it's 16 by 20, so what is this? This should be, let me see if I guessed that right. Maybe I've just, well, this is 8 inches. That's not good. That looks pretty much like half. So let's bring that up a little bit. Let's bring it up to 6 inches. Okay? I'm going to bring that up just a little inch, about 6 inches. We'll see. You kind of do it like that. All right, and we've got the snow piled. Now, the center of our canvas is what? It's, see, 16 by 20, so it's got to be, is that right? 8.
Eight
It's got to
sounds
be 8.
familiar.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. All right, so here's 8. So that's the middle. So I'm going to just draw a line, you know, here's the middle. That's where my Eiffel Tower is in the middle. So that's the middle. So probably I'm going to go about 3 fingers on each side of the middle and put a dot. And come up about 3 fingers and put a dot and just make a little arch like that. Just make a little arch like that. Can you even see this chalk?
Yeah, well, it is a little light.
Is it a little light?
Do
How
you have a
about this?
different
Is this
color?
better? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better. That's
All
a lot
right,
better.
so that's like, here's the middle, so about 3 fingers each side, right? And then I want to come up about 2 fingers and make the platform. And I want, in this picture, I kind of got a little crooked, so I've got my triangle out. I'm going to come along here like this, so make sure I have that level. A triangle works because if you line it up on this side of your canvas, you know, then you're pretty much guaranteed you've got a straight line here. So let's just come over here like this, and on both sides, just line it up here. I'm going to say this is where I want that platform, like that. And I said this was the center coming straight up from here, like that. I can go right up to the top of the canvas and put my dot. All right, so that's where it is. Now, for instance, I want about a 1 inch space in the middle for a little triangle like that, like a little triangle, kind of curved triangle. And on the sides here, I think I'm going to come over about 2.5 fingers. How's that? Come up here about like that on a curve like this. And let's see, this should be about 2. This should be about 2 fingers. Well, we're going to slope that even more because this is our middle triangle here for our tower. So it's going to come really like this. All right, just going to bring it down like this. Then we go all the way off the canvas. We're not going to get narrower as we go up like that. So there's our tower going all the way up here like that. And here's our little observation platform. We're going to bring that up about like this. Let's bring our triangle up a little higher. This is why I like chalk. All right, so I've got that Eiffel Tower up. I think I don't have it quite as big. I think I got a little big in this picture. I'm making it slightly smaller than I did. Sometimes this is like what I would call a painting sketch. So now I'm going to make a few little adjustments to make sure I've got my arch here pretty well in hand. Kind of make this observation tower here, platform, and then come on up here to the center, and then way up here. All right, so we're going to say that is the Eiffel Tower, like that. And then down here, let's just remember this line has to kind of connect like that, right? So it's going to connect. And let's see, I want to bring this down maybe just 1/4 of an inch than I had it. Let's just bring this down just a bit. There we go. All right. All right.
It is interesting. We're getting two different colors on the camera. The new camera is giving us the true gray that you've got, and the older camera is giving us a blue-gray.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just saying that that's my Eiffel Tower. And there's another way up here. There's another little short observation platform, but it goes way on up. Okay. And then underneath here, there's going to be some boxes, and they're like shoe boxes. You know, did you ever collect shoe boxes? When, you know, maybe you still do. I don't collect them anymore, but you remember everybody used to bring their shoes home in a box and keep them for the strangest reasons. But just some little houses back there. Okay. Now I want to say that down here about this whole area here is going to be my bench. But if you imagine like from here to about, let's see, let me just measure down about. I'm going to give you the measurements on this. So the final thing here is really about 7.5 inches down here on the snow on both. Should be about both sides. Should be, let's see, if I've got this as, well, really about 7.5 inches here. You should have it over here. You should have about 7.5 here. So, all right, so this is going to be our kind of our final snow thing. And then from there, I want to come down another, say, 4 inches and put a dot. Just kind of draw a line up here like that. And we'll do the same thing. We'll come down here another 4, maybe 5 inches. And from this point here, we're going to draw a line like this. This will help you kind of decide where everything's going. All right. So if I come in from this line about, I don't know, I like my fingers, 3 fingers, my pine tree is going to be up here, but it's not really time to put it in. So if I've got anything off here, now's the time to fix it. Okay. If there's anything off about this Eiffel Tower or anything, because I can erase chalk. All right. So then I would teach something like this at a painting party when I teach there in Houston. I would teach you exactly this way. So I know I've got a pine tree right here, and then next to it I'm going to have a lamp post, and then next to that's going to be my bench in here. Somewhere in here will be my bench. Kind of draw a little space here where my bench is going, and I'll see if I want to have that a little bit lower. I think I do. So I'm going to just bring my bench down a little bit. All right, something like that. My lamp post is coming down. Everything's coming down there, maybe a little bit, another inch. And that's kind of how I will just, because I didn't want to grid this in or anything. I just wanted to show you how you would paint something like this in. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to work on this sky a little bit, and then we'll play with the Eiffel Tower. So the best thing to do, we've already got a gray going. So I'm going to take a kind of like a brush like this. This is a Ruby Satin Silver number 12 bright, and it's a little bit older. I'll show you on the palette. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here with the same colors that we used for the sky, but I'm going to just intensify them a little bit. And add a little bit of yellow oxide here. Now what I want to do is I want to come up here like this and making little circles, my canvas. I'm going to come up here and sort of darken the sky a little bit, making some clouds, little circles, and keep moving. Just come along here by my Eiffel Tower. All right, and now I'll get a little bit more paint and come up here like this. And I might even take a tiny bit of the Cad Red Medium and make this a little bit redder. I kind of like that if there's a little bit of red color in here. So I'm making this sort of foggy day. And I've got to make it dark first because we're going to have to make this lighter at the end. All right, so let's just come on over here and do the same thing. Let's just come up here, make some circles like this, kind of go around our Eiffel Tower.
It looks like you're really scrubbing that brush.
I am scrubbing it pretty hard. I'm making circles and I'm pushing pretty hard. This brush is old. It doesn't have the fine chisel anymore to it, and it's a really good brush for that. A round brush would work for that too. Let's put a little bit more blue with it. There's no water on this brush. That's like, people often, you know, they love to get into the water, but you don't see me paint like that. I don't like to do that. Now, eventually, we're making this pretty dark because we're going to have to lighten this up. But what we're saying is this is some sort of winter, foggy winter sky. And that's all we're saying that happened here. I want to make sure that we can kind of see through this. Now, here's the deal. When you're doing a painting like this, okay, so let's see. I guess we didn't get that dark enough. when you're doing a painting like this, know how you did your colors, because you're going to come up here and eventually, you know, you may want to make a repair to the Eiffel Tower, something like that. And let's just put some fog back in here too. If you need to, you can come back and make the color again. I think that's real important. If you can't remember how you did it, write it down. Okay, so here's my arch.
Another reason to do an art journal, I believe.
An art journal. You know, we've talked about doing these art journals. It's really worth doing. Let's come out back here. I'm going to just kind of, again, with acrylics, it's sort of at layers like that. So, all right, so that's pretty good. And I'm sort of happy with where all this is going. And, okay, so, all right, I'm just kind of in my mind. You're just kind of seeing how my thinking process, we're going to come across here like this. This is coming here, this is coming there, this is coming here. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to put out one more color, and that is phthalo blue. And let's see, we've got that there. I want some phthalo blue. We're going to start in a little bit on the snow. All right. To just sort of get a snowy background going. So here's some white, a little bit of phthalo blue. You see that? Okay. Now the color that I would want, I can put a little ultramarine in it. That's nice, and even a tiny bit of cad red medium. Cad red medium will kind of gray that phthalo so it's not so bright. And I want to come back into here like this, a little bit more ultramarine blue in that, okay? Kind of a mixture. I'm going to come back in here like this, and I want to start putting in some snow, all right? Now, when you start to find that your brush isn't covering anymore, get more paint, all right? So we're coming this way. And again, acrylic paints are all about layers. This is really not tricky to do. You just have to get enough paint. And you see me mixing a little bit at a time. I want some different colors of blue in this painting. I really do. I want some different colors of blue. So I think I'll put a tiny bit of water just on the tips, tap it off on a paper towel like that. And we're going to get that. Now here's the thing. You could, for instance, use a blending medium to get this to work. I mean, you absolutely could. A little bit of water on the tips though, and then back in here with the paint. Let's just make some more of this color, a little tiny bit of white, okay? There we go. That's, as I come forward, I'm going to do a little bit darker blue here, like that. And then you'll notice that the brush strokes are going down in this way. Do we have any questions while I'm rattling on about how we're doing this?
Yes. I do recipes since I watched Ginger's tutorial on how to do that. It works great. That's a comment. And then we have another one. Is there a tutorial on how to make an art journal? We kind of have one.
Yeah, we got one on YouTube. Absolutely. We have one on YouTube. How to make an art journal. Uh-huh.
And then which camera is showing the proper color? And that would be the one that we're on now, which is the close-up one, coming over her left corner. So
yeah, this is a new camera, and it's fantastic. It just really it's just an absolutely marvelous camera. All right, now you see I'm kind of out of paint. Now, I'd rather put small amounts of paint out and then work off of that, then put out a great big deal of paint and then try to figure out what I was going to do with it and how I was going to save it, okay? So now you see I'm coming down here with some darker color as I go. And you'll notice that the brush strokes are all sweeping down this way, kind of in a curve. We're not going up and down or straight across. Your brush strokes are like grooves in a record. They really do matter. You know, oh, I know. True story. Not that I'm just telling you untrue stories, but I don't know why I start off with that, because it sounds like some of the stories aren't true, and they're all true. If I'm telling you these stories, they're true. But I had read about a young man who was on an Indian reservation. I was an artist. He was a young man back in the 1950s, somewhere in Arizona. And apparently he had been born with some handicaps, and that had caused some bullying to happen from the other kids. Would really, you know, pretty typical of kids, you know, at that age. You know, I remember when I was a kid, any kid wearing a hearing aid was looked at strange. I mean, kids are really funny. But anyway, so this kid would really, you know, grew up to be fairly famous. I forget his name, but he grew up to be a famous artist. And when he finally got away from these and went to you know, a high school where he was able to learn more about art, he was asked why he wanted to be an artist. And what he said was, he says, I want to be able to speak to the entire planet. And artists speak all the languages. Isn't that beautiful? artists speak every language, and that's true. I mean, literally, as artists, we all can just pop around the world and draw a tree or a table or some food and, kind of sign language and some little sketch pad. People pretty much know what you want them to paint, or wait, what you want. You want a table, you want a chair, you can draw it. And he thought, and so art really is a language. But languages all have grammar. Now, this is the key. Languages have grammar. Waterfalls generally are painted up and down. If you painted a waterfall and all your brush strokes were sideways, it wouldn't matter how well you painted the waterfall. I'm going to wet this brush a little bit. This is an interesting canvas to paint on, John. I have to say, there's different grounds, and even though we've done an underpainting, I'm almost have to use a lot more paint. Interesting. Than other canvases I have played with. So I'm going to grab more paint and do that. So I'm getting this with too blue. Didn't get enough red in that. Here we go. There we go. Okay, darken this.
Just let everybody know that Wendy put the YouTube link out there for you for the art journal tutorial.
Oh, I want to say hi, shout out to Wendy. Wendy has become a good friend of ours, and she helps us with the lots of stuff on our site, and she's moderating tonight. I didn't think we'd see you, Wendy. I figured you'd be off on your holiday adventure.
We appreciate you coming in like that, and Kim Sim out there supporting us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, anyway, Wendy, I was going to ask you. Wendy took one of the paintings that we did like a couple weeks ago of the little village, that kind of view of the little village with the little houses, and she painted it on an old saw. And it looked really cute, and I wanted to show everybody, but I didn't. I hadn't seen the finished. I did a couple critiques because Wendy's a member of our gingercooklive.gallery. Do you see how much paint I keep mixing? I keep going back and mixing this paint all the time. There you go. So I'm going to keep coming down here, covering this again. So anyway, I wanted to show everybody, Wendy, if you finish that, if you could send us a picture of it. I'd really love to see it. All right, so I'm going to get more paint
Wendy,
here.
this is a Michael's. This is a Michael's canvas we're using tonight.
Yeah, it's a Michael's canvas, and I have to tell you, I'm really struggling with keeping the paint on here.
Now, the reason that the snow is being sloped into the center, because these are hills.
These are hills, yeah.
You have a sidewalk walking down the middle.
Yeah, it's sort of kind of like this. We're saying that sloping kind of like this, and we're going to have this sloping. So that's exactly where we're making hills. Exactly right. Now, I might take a little bit of the white paint now and start coming back here like this while this is still wet and adding a few little highlights to sort of blend that in. This would be where I would really use some blending medium on the canvas like this. I would grab some, and John will tell you I never use that stuff, but I'm telling you what, and I've got a really good brush to do this with. So if you're struggling, sometimes it isn't you. That's a thought, isn't it? And then different canvases have different different white surfaces. It's all called gesso, but then that's a really, really generic name. And even you can really see it, because I'm coming down here trying to do that, and everything's just sort of grabbing. It's annoying. All right, so let's back me out a bit here, okay? Let me just see where I am. Can you back me out for the whole thing now? Back. Yeah, okay, so now you can see I've got sort of this slope in the middle. Now, while that's drying, all right, we're going to change tactics, and we're going to get out a ruby satin silver bright brush, small one, and let's put in our Eiffel Tower, okay? Because we can do that now. So let's see, probably one I want is some burnt umber.
Before we get too crazy here, we have a question for you.
Sure.
I got your canvas, okay. I'm painting red bows. How do I highlight the red without making them go pink?
The highlight for Naphtha Crimson is Cad Red Medium. And the dark, and your shadow color would be Naphtha Crimson and a little ultramarine blue will be your shadow color, almost, or alizarin crimson. And then your highlight color is Cad Red Medium, same way you'd paint an apple. That's how you do that. Let's see, I said I was going to, all right, John got me to, put out the labels, so we're doing it, right? Labels. Okay, so somebody's going to ask us, where did you get these labels? Well, they're actually Avery labels. Here's the phthalo blue is here, right? So I'll just put that there. The burnt umber, where'd that go? Okay. We went ahead and designed these, John Spence, I told him the paint colors I wanted to use, and then he came up with a sheet of these, and you just tear them up, and then they go on stuff. You don't get confused about where all your stuff is, right?
Well, you try not to.
Well, you try not to. For instance, I've got titanium white here. Obviously, I would just take this up and move it over here. See? Oh,
I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, I originally was going to put it there, but it sort of crowded everything. So, but it's okay if you say it, John. It's all right. I would just tell you why, my thinking on it. You know, I have great thinking. I have thoughts about these things.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
You're with me. So, all right. So now I'm going to take a little bit of the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber and come over here and make a little dark color. And I think I'll just put my Eiffel Tower in like this. Okay, I'm just going to come here like this. And then just make my arch.
Yes, apples in the fall. It's going to be redone big. And also the apple that's on the green and white fabric, the folded one that we did.
Oh yeah, that's
cool.
Going to be redone in big. We're going to do that one big too, like that.
Those two are going to be big
so
ones.
This is the one of the new ruby satin silvers. It's the bright brush. It's got the really fine edge to it. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber make a very nice dark color. I don't want to use black. All right, so then I want to come underneath here like this, and just make my little cross piece. And here we're going to come down like this, like that on both sides.
So that is your favorite brush right there.
That's my favorite. That and the angles are my favorite brush because you can do such great detail with them. See, I've got my little finger up here, and okay, so I'm going to come under the top of the easel like that.
You did that very well.
I can hold my hand still and then just move my body, kind of bend down. So sometimes, you know, even with the left hand, sometimes you can just hold your hand down, just sort of pulling down like that. Then I'll go back and reload and then come over here on this side, and here's my color. Now I'm going to go back, add a little bit. Where'd that squirter bottle go? Now this is where I might miss my paints all again. Put a little bit of water right there where I'm mixing. Tap it off. Okay, so now I want to come down here like this. Like that. There. That has blue in it. What happened to the brown? All right, there we go. Tap it off. Now I'm going to say, here's my, and this is, the Eiffel Tower is just supposed to be suggested in the background. You're supposed to just suggest it. You know, you're just not, we're not seriously painting, you know, a perfect Eiffel Tower. That was never the intention of this, was just to suggest it. Now, the reason that this painting is called The Gift is because there is a gift on the bench of this, we put a gift on there, really nice wrapped gift. And my thought was this.
It was left behind.
It was left behind. John, tell the story of why we have the gift there.
What we have is we have a park bench sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower in the background. And the gentleman had just left, and he left the gift there with a note. The note says, "Please give this to a young boy or girl. Do not open it for yourself. Please give it away." What do you think is in the box? What would you want as the gift?
And I'm going to put a little dazzling purple out here next.
What colors would you use to create a dark skin tone? There's a whole book on skin tones.
There's a whole full book on skin tones. You should just buy it.
It's well worth it.
Yeah, just buy it on skin tones on Amazon.
Everybody's skin tone is so different. They teach you how to do all of them.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, get the book. Whole book on Amazon. It's like kind of cool. Just, you know, color mixing book. Okay, so I've added a little dazzling purple. All right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber and a little bit of cad red medium, make a dark color, and I want to come in here like this, and I want to put in my little houses, or my little office buildings, or whatever. Yeah, I'm putting in the city, you guys, and kind of staggering the city like this. Okay. Now, when I was teaching it, we do a lot of different Eiffel Tower paintings when I'm teaching painting parties at Reload a Masterpiece in Houston, and I'm always interested in seeing, the guys love this stuff because one guy put in Whataburger, somebody else put in the top, you know, like a pyramid. I mean, made a totally different city underneath it. Sky's the limit with stuff. You can kind of fool with the audience a little bit to put a building in that's very incongruent to what's normally there. Let's see, I think we're all out of cad red medium, so we're going to put a little bit more out because nothing is mixing. Aha, there we go.
Which brings up an interesting question. Is it bad if the canvas requires more paint? Is there difference in qualities of canvases? Do some require more paint, some less?
Oh yes, there's a huge difference in qualities of canvas. A huge, huge, huge difference. And the thing of it is that, for instance, the crummiest. Let me say this nicely. How can I say this nicely? The very
tactful.
worst, the cheapest canvas you could possibly buy is what we use at painting parties. Cheapest we can get it. And you know, years ago, before any of these painting parties started, okay, you couldn't give a 16 by 20 away, a canvas-sized canvas away. Now there's a huge booming industry. A lot of it's made overseas. Who knows what they're spraying the back of it with? They can't keep it in stock. There are these wine and sip and paint places all over America and all over the world, and some maybe 15 in some cities. And I tell you, there's a demand for this canvas, as opposed to, say, the fine. You know, when you looked at that ocean painting I did, I guess that was the shock. You know, the big water painting I did, John?
Oh yeah, that was an expensive canvas.
That was an expensive canvas, and I wasn't anywhere near struggling.
No.
With the
Yeah, you're really struggling with this one tonight.
you know, getting the paint on, and even that little small 8 by 10 was fine. You know, from Jerry's that I got, that was fine.
Oh, apparently Nancy's husband John is watching us tonight. Hello, John.
Hi, John.
Nice to have you with us. Robin's with us. Hello, Robin.
Nancy is John's sister?
Yeah, she's my half-sister, so she's
Okay.
half-twin.
Because people are wanting to know why John gets special treatment. I mean, there's a lot of people on there, and suddenly John gets a shout-out, right? So, hi, John. Okay, we get it. We just, you know, you got to shout out to your
Well,
relatives.
it's her birthday. You have to be nice to my sister on her birthday.
Well,
I
you
talk to
never
her,
say-
once a year? Come on.
You talk to her once a year, whether she needs to talk to you or not, right?
Absolutely. Well, she keeps using Facebook, and I don't use Facebook.
I know you don't.
It's too painful.
You know, I don't think any of my relatives watch my shows. You know, I've just, Cinnamon's too busy doing her own stuff, you know, and my family's, well, a lot of them are dead, so that doesn't count. But but anyway, I don't see them, a lot of them. All right, I'm going to just make a little more gray here, but with a little, change the gray color a little bit here, but having a little purple in it. And I'm going to come in here like this and just, now you see how I outlined the Eiffel Tower? And now I'm going to just use this gray and kind of skinny up the line. Isn't that clever? You know, you can either make a fat line or you can skinny it up. So I'm going to come back in here and just sort of
Hey,
make
can
this
Ginger
gray.
recommend the best canvas to use?
Well, I'm using this. I mean, you just have to know what you're dealing with. It still paints, okay? But generally speaking, if you know, if you'll see different grades of canvas, and maybe one day we'll do a show on the different canvases. You see different grades of canvases. Linen, of course, is the nicest canvas you can buy. And if you're trying to sell something, and if you're like on Etsy or one of those, you know, Amazon or one of those places where you're trying to get your artwork out there at a gallery sold, if you're painting on linen, acrylic on linen sounds really high end, doesn't it? And it's a good selling. It's, you know, and it's very easy to paint on linen. All right, very
Well, it's
easy.
very smooth.
It's very, very smooth, and for some reason it grabs the paint a little bit. We could have used a painting medium with this. The reason I did not use a painting medium with this is that it will delay the drying time by a lot, and I don't have time on a show like this to have all the drying time delayed.
Hey, we have a new hubby join us tonight, Tyler. So there's a shout out to Tyler, new hubby.
New hubby.
And Lady Wolf White Fang is with us. Can you believe that?
Oh, she's
Does
from
she
Norway.
ever sleep? She never sleeps.
She never sleeps. She's from Norway. It's like the middle of the night there for her. So I want to say hi to her.
Hey, let's say a big hello to Andrew. He
Oh,
joined
hi,
us.
Andrew, and from Haiti. I wonder if he's stateside. Andrew's been doing some marvelous paintings recently for gifts for relatives for the holidays, and so I want to say hi to him. And you know, I guess the fun thing about seeing me do a big canvas like this, all right, maybe the fun thing is you can kind of see where my hands are in relationship to a vertical easel. Maybe that'll help, right?
Well, yeah, that was another question earlier. Do you like doing the bigger canvases for us, or do you like the 6x8 little ones you used to use?
Well, I like them both for different reasons. I think sometimes you have to. We didn't have any way when we first started out doing this. You know, a good friend of ours invited me to try to do a live show, not on YouTube but somewhere else, and you know, I said, "Gosh, that'd be great, but you know, I don't have the money for camera, I don't have the computer that would be, you know." And he said, "Well, I'll buy all that stuff for you." So he bought me like a $400 laptop and like, I don't know, the camera was like $300, and we started from there. The quality was terrible, and we learned that if you're going to do this, you got, and then I bought some lights, and as we progressed, and I met Jon, and then eventually he and I, the gentleman that started with me, went our separate ways, and I had to pay him back for the computer I really didn't care about, or the camera. That's okay.
That we don't use. And
we, by now, you have to understand, we're like 4 cameras into this project, maybe 5, and then, but we were still always doing the hands, always trying to make the hands, those videos sharp, and it just wasn't possible to do this. All right, and so recently we bought 3 cameras for my daughter Cinnamon. That she upgraded her cameras and said, you guys want to buy some equipment from us, and so we got a payment plan going with them, and we were able to pay off some cameras. And then Jon moved down, and I wouldn't have done that if Jon hadn't moved down from Michigan, and we started to set up here in the studio. We bought another camera to go with that, this really fun camera, have a better microphone, sounds better. I mean, the whole thing has evolved. So I wanted to be able to show you some bigger stuff. I just wasn't able to. The 16 by 20 was as big as I could, and you can learn a lot with small stuff. People work, they don't have a lot of time. A little bit of purple and burnt umber. They do not have a lot of time to, just doing a straight line down here, let's do the light chalk. Oftentimes after work, to spend 2 or 3 hours on, if something takes me 10 minutes, it might take somebody else 2 or 3 hours, you don't know. And the nice thing about, those small canvases is you will learn so much. I'm going to say this is where my pine tree is going, right about here, okay? And remember, we did a line here, so we're going to say that this is sort of, all right, from the Eiffel Tower, like this is where we're going to get some trees, and over here we're going to start about here. We're going to have some trees about like that, okay? And I'm doing a straight line so I know where they go, all right?
Here's a question for you. I'm trying to understand how the linen will grab the paint better if the linen never touches the paint due to the gesso. Which is a very good question. I mean, if you can sit there, you have a
here's the
coarse
question.
canvas.
It's they put better gesso on it. For one thing, they put better gesso on it,
there's
and the
different
linen's
quality
a tighter.
gesso.
The linen's a tighter weave. It's the difference between, say, 1,500 thread count sheets and the stuff you get at, say, Kmart that's 200 thread counts. Okay. I mean, you've got to understand, canvas is just cotton duck that that they make sailcloth out of, and that's why they started off. A couple hundred years ago, painting on canvas. It was readily available. Lots of boats out there. Okay, we're going to make a dark green here. A little bit of yellow oxide, ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber, maybe a tiny bit of cad red, a little bit of purple, more ultramarine blue. All right, so I've got this dark pine tree. Now I'm going to come up here like this, like that, and then I'm going to start tapping in this pine tree, like that, across. And then I'm going to come. As you remember, pine trees get larger as they come down.
Susan, I came from Kalamazoo, southwest corner.
Yeah, okay, so
Or
we're
is
going
there
to bring it
frozen
off on
tundra
this
now?
side. I think this pine tree is going to be, this is where the trunk's going to be. I guess I'll put that in real quick. Here's our tree trunk right here. I'm going to say there's my tree trunk right there. Put that in, and then we'll go ahead and, here's just some burnt umber. I just want to establish
love
where
it how
it
she
is.
jumps from the top to the bottom.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to go back right up here to the tree. I just wanted to know where this was, because the skirt of a tree is a bit bigger.
Well, the interesting comment was after you drew all your chalk on in the very beginning and then you put your snow in, you covered everything.
Yeah, but I had to decide. I did that because I wanted to decide if I had the Eiffel Tower in the right place or if I needed to lower it, okay?
So you just did that for your spacing for yourself.
Yeah,
You didn't
that was
redraw
more
it.
of a spacing issue. Let's see, I need some cad yellow medium. So I'm going to put out, I need some more green, so I'll go up here like that. That's cad
If you
yellow
remember
medium.
correctly, she said she's going to go back to the top. That's why I didn't change camera, because she did not
Well,
go
you
back
don't need
to
to
the
see
top.
a green, do you? A dark green color? Maybe you do. I don't know. All right. So now, so we got a dark green color. We're just going to come in here. See, I'm tapping this in here like this. And that's not dark enough, so let's put some more blue, maybe some phthalo. No white in this. This is our darkest color. When you're making a dark green, which is going to be the dark side of the color wheel, all right, what you've got to keep in mind, all right, when you're doing this, is that you don't want to introduce any real white into it, okay? Because you can't get that. Once white has contaminated this color, you can't get it dark again. You can, so basically if it's on the dark side of the grayscale, All right, now this whole side of this pine tree is almost solid here. I'm just going to show you how I'm painting that in here. Normally I would leave a little space, but on this particular case we're not. We're not leaving any space. We say that there's the top of this little pine tree up here. It's very teeny up at the top, okay? All right, and here's our pine tree, and let's bring this out. We've got this canvas is a little bit wider. You know, the other thing too is this canvas is a little bit wider than our sample picture, all right? So I have a little more room. Now I'm going to take that same color and this green, that's just going to go everywhere. And I'm going to start down here and I'm going to say I've got a little bit of a pine tree here. I'm barely putting it in, just using the edge here. And this is all going to be, we're just putting all this in. Just these little trees like this. Okay, and we'll define them with a little bit of snow. Just say what's what. Okay. And just about like this. We're going to put in a little tree. So anyway, that's a...
Does ultramarine blue or phthalo blue make a darker green when mixed with yellow?
Phthalo blue will make a really darker green. You still have to put some red or brown in it, okay? And ultramarine blue makes an army green, like you can camouflage a tank. Phthalo blue can go army green, but it'll tend to the green will be brighter. The tendency that ultramarine blue is your real. This will dull the green quite a bit just by the nature of it. It's ultramarine blue red shade, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and do this one. Okay, like this, and leave a little space for this. I think I want to come out about this far here. And okay, we're going to come down this way. And you'll notice that I'm constantly going back and getting more paint. That's all right. In a small picture, we'd be done by now. But that's all right. There's just so many layers of paint that you've got to put on something like this. And we're just going to come off to the edge like that. We kind of showed how to do pine trees. If you watched what was the pine tree demonstration? That's on another YouTube video that we just did, right?
Right, yeah.
Which one was that?
Recently.
Which one was that, John? Because I just showed. It was this week, too. What did we do this week? Well, this week we did the flowers. So it was last week.
Yeah, it was last week's lesson.
Okay, so I'm out of blues. So let's just put both blue out again. That's all right. It's okay to be out of colors. But don't get lazy and not put it back out again.
Can you square up your palette while you're there for the camera, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this is the phthalo right here. That's the ultramarine blue. Here's a little yellow. Here's some phthalo blue and yellow. And see, it's a brighter green. Then I'd have to take purple and darken it up here and add some more blue to it. I'd have to darken it. It's just...
So you're using both blues together?
Yeah, you can, absolutely. And now look at how much darker it is when I do that. Come over here. Can you see the difference?
Let me bring in my close-up camera, please.
Can you see the difference, how much darker it is?
Oh, yeah.
It's a darker shade. If I really want this dark, like that, I'm just going to come down here like this. Think about when you're doing trees, there's a lot of different kinds of pine trees, goodness. And if you've ever gone Christmas tree shopping, they want more money for some than others, if you're buying fresh trees. We don't do that so much in Houston anymore because of the dry weather, and sometimes it's you can have your air conditioner on, and then sometimes the heater's on and the heat dries out the tree. I'm coming back over here and darkening this up a little bit, these front ones, and going to be just coming out here with the little branches like that. See, there's almost a blue-green tint to some of this now, and that's all right. We're just going to come clear to the edge with this tree like that. There we go. Okay, so I've got that. So I'm going to do that. This was fun. And, all right, now, toop. All right, oh yeah, there's some smaller ones going back this way.
We have a question. How do you send your art to Ginger?
If you're a member of gingercooklive.gallery, it's easy enough. There's a special form. And it's
for your art critiques.
For your art critiques. And also, sometimes you just want to show me what you painted. And I'm happy to see it. This is what I did. Yay! And I go, yay! But if you are not a member of our actual academy, on my Facebook page is Ginger Cook.
Go to our website. Yeah, go to our website and grab the link off the top. Where's Ginger? Yeah,
where's Ginger? And go to the Facebook page, and then if you are not one of my current Facebook friends, just say, I'd like to be your friend, and then I will friend you back. that I usually check that every day, the Facebook. So, you know, just figure that you're going to get friended back here. And I'm adding, this is a wider canvas, so I've got to add a few more trees in here than I had before. But they get smaller as they go back, okay? You guys seeing that? They're smaller as they go back, but they're...
Would that be a lesson in perspective?
That would be a lesson in perspective. Your vanishing point's over here somewhere. So we're doing something like this, like this. See how I'm going to kind of do
Shrink
this
them
and like
down.
that, like that. Vanishing point like this. Ooh, see that? Like that. Same here. Toop. Toop. Okay? So, so we can have these smaller trees. They get, like again, like I say, they get smaller as they go back. Need a little bit more yellow on that one. Maybe some yellow oxide, a little red. Make it a little deeper green here. Oh, tap that off. Okay. There, I want another little tree here, I think. There, just kind of fill this space in a little bit. In actuality, I don't know if they ever do get snow. I'm sure they must get snow sometime, right? I don't think that they're necessarily pine trees, but I like the idea of this. I just, this park bench by itself in the photo was okay, but I really like the idea of these trees. So now I'm going to rinse the brush, and then I'm answering these questions because you asked me like 3 or 4 questions at once, and I don't think they ever get quite answered, John.
Well, I think that you seem to be answering, and people say thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that, you know, because you asked me about the canvas and the different size, and I'm not saying you should buy linen. I'm just saying that, you know, I don't buy linen. I'm just saying it'd be nice. You've got some money, buy linen, right? But, you know, I would say, why not, you know? And it does make life simple to paint on it, but linen's expensive, but sometimes they put linen on sale. That's a good time to get it. I'm a big fan of buying things when it's on sale. And I'll buy a lot of canvas when it's on sale. You'll see the stretcher bars. Oh my goodness, you know, here's the thing. It isn't just the quality of the canvas, you guys. It's the stretcher bars. Those wooden little bars here. We've got one here. See these little wooden stretcher bars? The quality of these is huge. We had a student who was painting a very nice fat gallery wrap canvas with a big wide stretcher bar. I think it was like about 2 feet by about, I don't know, 10 inches tall. It was really nice. And when she was finished, the bars had warped, and it was like sway back. The wood actually was sway back, okay? And then what can you do? Well, you have to restretch that canvas. There's nothing you can do. So one of the things you've got to do when you go to the art store is you've got to bring a tape measure with you. One of the more important things, and this is really good stuff to know, is that make sure if it says it's 30 by 40 or 24 by 36 or whatever the number is they say on it, 16 by 20, have a little tape measure and make sure, because if it's not a gallery wrap, if it's one like this, all right, where you're going to put it in a frame, see it's thin, if this isn't exactly 8 by 10, guess what? It doesn't fit in the frame. Well, that's pretty sad to know after you've already painted it. You go to get a frame and it doesn't fit, or it's warped or something. So then on the back of it, you see right here, you should measure from this corner to this corner like an X. And boy, those measurements better be the same. And if they're not, you need to get another canvas. And I've actually seen the canvas be off as much as 1/4 of an inch. Really, truly.
That's a lot, especially when it comes to framing it.
Yeah, when it comes to framing, you're just done. I mean, you have to pay someone to restretch it. That's a pain. And, you know, if you know, I don't know. It's just avoid it. And then sometimes, for instance, if you set the canvas, if you set the wood piece down on the floor like this, where's my hand? You set it down on the floor, you shouldn't see air underneath it. You know, if the floor is level or a table, you know, I like to just turn them all around and make sure that I'm not seeing little gaps of air, because that means that the wood's crooked. So it isn't just, you're not just paying for the canvas, you're paying for the wood, the kiln dried wood that maybe started off swell and then it went in a cargo ship overseas somewhere, got here, who knows the humidity conditions, what happened on the factory floor, what happened to the straight wood. It may not be straight when you get it, and that makes a difference. So, okay. All right, so you see what we've got there. So now while we're doing this, I'm going to just come back here and make another little bit of dark gray. All right, now I've got this pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'll just darken this here like that. Just maybe darken this line under here like this, okay? And let's see. Let's take a little tiny brush. I brought some small brushes with me. And I'm going to take white paint. And what I want to use now is white This is white flow paint from Golden. It's what they call it, fluid acrylics. And the reason I'm using that is because I want to do some thin lines. And I'll just kind of take the brush, kind of roll it. See, I'm rolling it in that. I'm going to come up here, and this is very simple Eiffel Tower. We're going to make some X's. All right, like that. Just make some X's. Okay. You know, the Eiffel Tower is all girders and stuff, right?
Right. All metalwork.
All metalwork. I actually, when I was 14 years old, I climbed this. Can you imagine how crazy? I climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa too when we went to Italy. All right. I'm not trying to be that, precise here. We're just suggesting there may be some X's here. And then we're going to come straight up and down with this, like that, little fingers. Doing this.
Apparently, Cinnamon was talking about you moving from the university. Tell the story of how you moved from the university. Cinnamon said, mention it.
Cinnamon said, mention. Oh, she's a sweetheart. I love her. She's sure bringing this stuff up. Make sure I don't tell any stories about her. Okay, I'm sure. All right, university. Well, when I met Cinnamon's dad on a ski trip to Aspen, Colorado. And I was going to college about a year earlier than most kids go. I'd gotten into the Arizona State University. And my parents would not cough up, I like the word, don't you think so? Would not cough up any money for a car for me. Now I say that because there was money, all my brothers and sisters had cars. But in all fairness, they'd all had terrible accidents. So by the time I came along, I was really being penalized for all their bad driving. They just weren't. Well, my mother spent the whole summer in the hospital with one of my brothers. So I mean, from her perspective, we don't give them any more cars. This is a mistake. My sister went off a cliff in the mountains at college with like 3 kids in the car with her. When she was driving in the snow country, there were a series of accidents, and so I didn't have a car at college, and there wasn't a bus system really in Arizona in those days. And I couldn't get around, and I couldn't get to classes. And I mean, I could get to the classes at the university. I was in the dorm, but I couldn't get. They'd say, "Well, we want to meet everybody down at the museum," and I couldn't get there because
didn't have a car.
I didn't have a car, and I was too shy to ask anybody for a ride. I mean, nowadays I just say, "Hey, I can't get there. Can I have a ride?" But people don't consider that, right? And I was young at college, and so anyway, I saved my allowance up, and I bought a Vespa. Truly, bought a Vespa.
And what color was the Vespa?
It was blue.
Of course.
Blue. It was really pretty. It was blue. Kind of this color, really. It was really nice. Bought this Vespa. All right, we're going to make some dots on our Eiffel Tower here with some white paint, okay? You just got to trust me on this. We're going to just come on up here and just going to make some dots like that.
Are the dots lights going up and down the Eiffel Tower?
They light this stuff up more than most people's Christmas trees. And we could really come and exaggerate this, and I'm using that paint. We're just making a little dots on the outside. I'm waiting for this other stuff to dry, so this is a perfectly good activity. Okay, now this is a very simple painting, okay, you guys. It's the kind of painting we might do. I might teach in an evening at a wine and, our wine and sip Bologna masterpiece, something, not this particular painting, but something like it, where we would do this. Because the idea is people just want to have a good time with these things, but you could learn quite a bit too. So anyway, I bought this Vespa, and of course I didn't tell my parents because I knew they wouldn't before that. I just didn't tell anybody. I just bought it. I didn't need anybody to. And that's how I got around to class. And so she says how I got to, about Christmas that year, I decided to ride my Vespa up. It was like in February. I decided to ride my Vespa up to Aspen to see Cinnamon's dad. And there's another story about that goes on, but I decided to go see him. And so, in those days, you have to understand, girls didn't ride motorcycles of any kind. I mean, I was an anomaly out there. And, I mean, just was. But, I mean, I really liked my bike. It was really fun. It was like 90. It only went like 50 miles an hour. It was barely freeway legal. I mean, it didn't go very fast. And I belonged to the Vespa Club, which was fun. I was the only girl in the Vespa Club because girls didn't do that. And the Vespa Club was, I said, I'm moving to Colorado. And so they saw me as far as, let's see, we were where I'm just putting yellow here, lights on our buildings here. They saw me as far as, let's see, how far did we get? Oh, I don't know, about 5 hours out of the city, I guess, and then I just kept going. And, map reading wasn't my strongest suit either. It's a wonder I made it at all. And it was cold. I think it was January. I don't remember. It was cold. And I had this wolf parka on. And I looked like this giant bear riding this. You couldn't tell if I was a boy or a girl. You couldn't tell anything about me. I just had this giant parka on and gloves. And my Vespa didn't go very fast. And that's how we did it. Okay, so anyway, that was sort of fun. And when I was crossing the Four Corners area, it was so cold. I had stopped in Flagstaff for the night, and then I found these really sweet Indian people, and they had a pickup truck, and they put my Vespa in the back of their truck, and they gave me a ride to Four Corners in their truck, because I was just freezing. This was the dumbest thing, so stupid. And
to be so young.
well, you know what? But it was an adventure. It's adventure time. You look back on it now. And I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and come back up here and just, add a few little yellow lights in between these like that. And it's just jazz this up here while we're talking. Boop, 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 boop. Some of you are going to be a lot neater than me with this. And somebody wrote the other day, so she's going to be messy. I'm not going to watch. Don't you be messy. I'm just trying to show you how to do this in an hour. If you look at some of our other paintings that we spend hours on, we just don't have the luxury of doing that, you guys, but we certainly can have some fun with this. Besides, we're going to cover this whole tower up when it dries. You're going to barely see it. We want enough stuff here where...
Enough stuff to show through.
So it shows through, because we're going to kind of bury this tower in just putting the little lights here. Okay. All right, so that's pretty good. So there's our tower back there. Now, and then brush goes here. So now the next thing is, should we draw in the bench? Yeah, we could draw in the bench while we're waiting for that to dry. So anyway, my sister lived in Aspen, and I was going to see, Cinema's dad, my boyfriend, but my sister lived there. I figure I could stay with her. So anyway, let me just talk a little bit about this bench. I'm going to put this right here. This is a bench. One of the reasons I picked this too is that people get really discombobulated. I'm going to use that word again.
Oh, that technical word.
Get really paranoid, even just frantic. Benches. Oh no, this is too hard. What is our favorite thing here? This is a cube of butter. Do you see that? Doesn't that look like a cube of butter? Yeah.
Uncut.
So if you think about it, how would you draw that? Well, you start off with a square. You can do that, right? Everybody's pretty good with that. Maybe a little tall square, right? Then you're going to run a line over here like that, and you're going to run a line here, kind of at this diagonal, okay? Then this line has to be straight up and down, okay? So then this line would run into it, right? And then this line here is parallel to the top and bottom of your canvas like that, okay? And you're going to come down here and make another box, okay? And then here's the outside. All right, so that's basically how you do it. Now, if it's a bench, what you've done is you've eliminated, you've got like this staple shape, like a staple, then you're coming over here and you've done another, well here, let me just zoom down here. I've made a staple, okay, like that. And then I'm coming over here and made another staple, a little smaller. Now you just connect the lines. Does that help you? And then what was interesting about this bench, you've got this sort of Velcroed up here, double stick tape. I want to show you this. You see how okay, maybe I can show you like this. You see how this is curved like this, the back of it's curved. You've got to notice the shape. So like the back of this bench is curved, right, like that. So if you're saying that this back leg is curved a little bit, all right, and then this is going back like that, same idea. Here's the back of the bench. And then the front of this, if you think about it, the front leg sticks out a bit like that, but it's like a question mark. And then that becomes the
front leg.
The front leg and also the arms. It's like a little question mark here like that. Not all benches are like that, but that's pretty simple to draw it, okay? So just, I just wanted you to understand how you would paint that. So and practice drawing it on a piece of paper so you really get what you want to do. Now I know that, for instance, right here, let's see, I'm going to move this over here. Here's my tree. I'm going to move right about here. I'm going to say I've got a lantern. It's going to be right about here somewhere. So now I know that my tree, or rather my bench, is pretty much right here. So I'm going to start here like this and just bring this back. Here's that C shape I was telling you about. And coming here like that, and if I just put my staple down, maybe that'll help. Then I'll wipe off the chalk I don't want. Now I'm going to come back this way with my park bench like that. Here's my little leg here. Now the back of the bench is kind of curving back like this, like that. And now, how long do I want the bench? Well, the bench in the picture is pretty long. I might want to just make this a little bit longer, so I'll just extend this out a bit. I mean, that's okay. You can freehand this in. Practice this. It's the worst. You can just paint over it if you don't like it. Okay, so there's the bench, right? Here's this back of the bench like that. And then here's remember I told you there's like a little question mark like this, and then here's the arms coming down like that, and there's your bench. All right, which is kind of cute, and I really like the fact that the bench sort of leans back. When Cinnamon was little, I did a beautiful painting of a little kid sitting on a wet bench, and it was Cinnamon when she was little. I don't know what happened to that, but she still remembers that painting. I used to do a lot of pictures of her. All right, so then I'm going to just bring this bottom part of the bench here like this, and there'll be a little side piece like that, and that's our bench. I think that's kind of cute. Do you guys think so? All right, and then if I'm saying that happened here, this is dry enough. Where'd that triangle go? Oh, this is the game we seem to all play here. Where did the triangles go? All right, I'll use this bigger one.
Sammy, do you know where the triangle is?
Does Sammy know where the triangle is? Sammy, do you know what the triangle is? No.
Not Sammy.
Sammy doesn't know. All right, so I'm going to just use this triangle. I found a bigger one. And I've said that I'm going to come up here. You need a straight line for your triangle, all right? So I'm going to say this is where I want it. I just, like that. That's where I want it. And then here's the bottom of my pole, all right? And in the picture I have it kind of behind, but I think I like it more in front. I was looking at that, what I wanted to change. And then you've got my, all right, so I'm going to say that's my, that this is going to be my pole here, my light post. And now, where have I got a problem? Can you guys see where I have the problem? I've got a problem because this tree over here is in line with where I want to put my light post. So I have to move it. Okay, because I really want the light post there. See, you've got 2 points here, and you can't have that. So I'll just take a small. I mean, I either got to move it right or left, so I can add more tree here, and I'm just going to come up here like this, like that, and I'm just going to add some tree right here. Kind of ignore that one. All right. There. Okay. There. Better. I had to have that happen, and maybe we've got something. Maybe we can put a tree right here. All right, there. There, all right, so we're just going to do that, okay. There we go, I like that, that works. Because I need this light pole all by itself. All right, so there's our bench, there's our stuff. Okay, so far so good. And anyway, so I ended up riding that motorcycle. I think I've told the story before. I ended up riding that Vespa almost all the way to Aspen. And that was sort of...
Was it snowing?
Oh, yeah, and when I got into the mountains, it was. When I got into the mountains, it was snowing, it was cold, it was like I say, probably not the smartest thing I ever did. So I want to put snow on this before I do my pole. Okay, we're going to put snow on the trees. So we're going to go back into the titanium white, the heavy stuff, all right? And we're going to add, remember we did some gray, so we're going to gray it just slightly, all right? So it's just kind of an off-white. Now, what happens is, remember, snow's falling down. So we're going to come up here, barely touch it, come off this edge like this, and then back and front like that. Okay, and then here's the next layer of snow, like that. And remember that it blankets, so some of these things are going to be thicker than others, like that. Maybe there'll be a little bit right here, like that. You want to leave some of the dark green showing through. And we're getting away with that because we have the dark green's dry. All right, so that's how we're getting by with this. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say that the snow's here, and I can reshape some of these. Here's some snow, and I'm going to just say here's a little cluster of this, and maybe this is a branch that's coming all in front. You know, this whole branch is looking at us, and then let's come over here. So there, you want to make these big and small, all right? From the standpoint of you've got to think of these boughs getting much bigger as they come down to the bottom, all right? So Cinnamon's dad was into motorcycles big time. He really was, and he used to, you know, he was really into motorcycles, and we got along just fine. He was, when she was little, you know, he used to take her on his motorcycle and put the car seats. It's horrified now when I tell the story, but, you know, car seat, he'd have her with him on the car seat, and he also took her snowmobiling. We had a snowmobile, and she'd go out snowmobiling with him as a baby. That was fun.
So that explains a lot, doesn't it?
What? It's saying what? Well, I mean, you know, Aspen, it was a wonderful place to live in those days, all right? It was really terrific.
Apparently it didn't have the aliens at that time.
No, there were no, and we didn't meet any aliens in Aspen at that time. I never knew of any, though there were some very strange people. I can remember, you know, and when you're young, you know, and you start interacting with different people, and somebody, you know, for instance, I remember being invited to dinner at this one couple's house, and they made these really pretty little wine glasses and stuff out of wine bottles. They'd cut them off and polish them and everything. And you know, do you guys remember those? They take a wine bottle, bottom part, and cut it in half, and then turn it into drinking glasses.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. Remember, those were real popular at one time, along with macrame and some of the other stuff. Okay, you guys remember that, right? So anyway, and I'm painting right over where my light pole goes because it's chalk. Doesn't matter. Let's put a little snow here like this on the tree where it might be caught. Okay. Now let's just keep going back with the other stuff. Now as you get back, it gets smaller, a little bit smaller. All right. Okay, now that we didn't dry, so let's move over to the other side.
So that looks like some green snow.
Well, I'll fix it. I just didn't want to wait till it would dry. Okay, so I'm going to come back up here and do this one, like this. Anyway, so we're sitting there at dinner, and this couple, they had an argument over who got to eat with the blue plate. And I was looking at her dad going, is this something new kind of crazy? I mean, what is this? You know, I mean, who cares? But apparently the blue plate was, they fought over who got the blue plate all the time. And I just never understood why they just didn't go out and get 2 blue plates. You know, it was funny. People do, you know. But that was where I had met this artist, and she seemed ancient at the time. I think she was like 27. And she's really, I thought she looked pretty good for her age. At 27, that's hysterical. And she had been an art teacher, and she saw me painting, because I've been painting, and she said, always ask yourself the question, what can I take away and not ruin the effect? In other words, what can I leave out of a picture and not ruin the effect? That's really as profound, isn't it?
Let me just interrupt for a second here. We have a conversation going on. The individual that did not get a response from Ginger, I just checked because she copies me on it. And she replied on December 2nd. Let me just see what address it goes. It's going to an AOL address. AOL will usually put us into spam or even delete us. You did get the confirmation go through, so please look in your spam folder for it on December 2nd. Thank you for this important message. Now back to your regular program. Ginger, take it away.
Thank you. Well, that's interesting because when I do art critiques, I spend a long time on these art critiques, and really it's upsetting if you don't get them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, typically if you don't hear from us
within a week.
Yeah, definitely within a week. Use the contact us form. Let us know that you didn't get it, because a lot of times they end up in the spam folders, or some places will even block our emails.
And I always copy Jon on everything I send out, so that Andrew's one that sometimes doesn't get our stuff, doesn't
Yeah,
get to
Andrew,
Haiti.
who always gets our stuff, sometimes they go in the junk mail. Even the ones he sends to me go into the spam mail.
Yeah.
There's just no rhyme or reason.
So I always try to copy copy Jon, so that it isn't just my memory. I sent it. Jon knows that I sent it, and if you write, he can say, Ginger did or didn't send it to you. She either did it or didn't, and that's what you want to look for. And also, I'm going to tell you guys, I wanted to say this too, that when I'm doing these critiques, I'm going to rinse my brush now because my brush is paint starting to dry in it. Can you give me a backup for real quick? If
I just knew you were going to ask for that. I was ready to go. I just knew it.
Did you know it? Yeah, see, that's not looking too shabby here, right? I'm kind of liking that. Okay, so now we're going to come back here with a little gray here. We're still on the gray. We haven't put actually white. We still grayed this. Remember, we all learned how to make gray. Ultramarine blue, white, and cad red medium. All right, it's sort of a gray color.
That was a tricky color for you to come up with, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is just, all right, so I'm coming back up here saying we're just getting the first layer of these, and you see that's fuller as we go down. Now we have to create some sort of shadow here. Everything's still pretty one-dimensional. So we know this is where our bench is going, which I like a lot. And now in the photograph, the bench is longer than I've made it. I've made it sort of a shorter bench, but that's okay. But I think that'll still work. Oh, I bet my green trees are dry by now. What do you think? Yeah, let's just continue on with the snow on these. Tapping it on here like this. All right, just tapping on some white. And it's like, you can suggest that the mind sort of goes, oh, okay, it's snow. So anyway, after I've sent you, some suggestions on how to improve the painting, Manette Pouge did a marvelous painting, really did a great job on some beautiful paintings. And I try to, I usually put your stuff on Pinterest. I'd like to put, if you send it in for some comments or some help, I'd like to see, I don't want to put your unfinished piece up on Pinterest. I want to put the finished one. So send it back to me. If you made the changes, or write back and say, thanks, I don't think I'll make any changes on this piece, but I appreciate the thought. Okay, that's okay too. All right, see that? So we've got back there's some, not sure about this little tree back here. Let's just, it's all back here and then all here. All right. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to take some shadow color, ultramarine blue, little phthalo, a little bit of brown. And what we want to do back in here is I want to pull some shadow color, make this a little bit darker, coming under here like this. All right, I'm going to kind of pull this down under here.
So once again, you're using your scrubby brush.
I'm using the small bright brush, okay?
Oh, your favorite brush.
My favorite brush.
You're being abusive to it. Okay.
I've got it pretty dark here anyway, but a little bit more ultramarine blue maybe, tiny bit of cad red. And I want a darker shadow under this, these trees here like that. A little bit darker down here like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing only with a little more phthalo, which we put right here. See, I like where we talk about where we put the colors because you can get kind of confused. I want some of that color over here, a little bit of phthalo, kind of bring that over here. So we're starting to darken some of this, little shadows around here like that. Now I'll go into some white. I'm going to go into some white now, and I'm going to start lightening it up under here like that. Just a little white on the brush.
And notice the brush strokes. They're curvy.
Yeah, they're still curvy, okay? They come under here like this, back to the city, like that. And probably we'll change brushes now, because this is a bigger picture. And so I will change brushes. This one's been in the water, so if you do that, wipe it off.
Wait a minute.
Well, I can show that. Just make sure
right
you've
there.
wiped it off, because we're going to use bigger brush strokes now, because this is a bigger painting. Does that make sense? Someone says, how long does it take you to paint something? It depends on what you're painting. So this is the next layer here. Now it's painting better. I've got enough paint on here where it's starting to behave. Boy, it took a while to get. I've got enough acrylic on here. It doesn't matter what I'm painting on. It could be an old board. I don't care. And it's fine. But here, I'm going to just, not trying to erase my tree, but okay. So I want a little turquoise blue. So here's a little yellow, white and a little phthalo. And that makes like this pretty turquoise color. And I want a little of that color in here too. This is a big painting, so we need to, maybe put a little of that. Now wipe the brush off. Just kind of blend that in here using the side of this. Come back with a little ultramarine this way. Use the side of it and blend that out.
You did a quick wipe in there, didn't you?
Yeah, you have to wipe your brush. You just kind of wipe it up and then blend some of this out here. Want a little of that turquoise color. This snow's got a lot of different colors of blue in it. And that's kind of pretty. This is, like I say, this is a fairly large picture. So I want to just start pulling in. That's too light a turquoise. Let's put some more phthalo blue with it. There we go. Kind of darken some of this up. And let's just put some colors under here like this. Oh, it's going to be nice. This will be cute when it's done. So anyway, I'd very much like to see the finished pieces when you're done. Like, for instance, Andrew, you've done, I think you finished some stuff. When you finish it, I'd love to see it. And if you don't want me to put it on Pinterest or something because it's a surprise, tell me and I'll do it in January after you've given them away as gifts. But I think some of you have done such a great job here. That's really fun. Now, see, acrylics is layering, and you see how much happier this is now that we're layering. We're getting more colors in here. It's a little more interesting, not just blues. There we go.
It's getting a little bit easier to paint on.
Excuse me? What?
Well, it's getting easier to paint on now?
It's getting easier to paint on, absolutely. But it was just, boy, at the beginning, it was a struggle. And again, I could have used a little bit of blending medium and probably solved that. But then we would have run into this stuff, it's drying too slow then for me. So
this painting stays up on YouTube forevermore.
Yeah, it stays up on YouTube. To haunt me forever, you guys. It'll be up here. All right.
You'll be able to listen to the Vespa story over and over again.
Well, that Vespa was a good, I rode all over Aspen with it, and that was a good little bike. I mean, Aspen was a very small town. Phoenix was dangerous. When I was riding that Vespa around on Phoenix, if things got bad, I'd just get up on the sidewalks. And I remember getting a ticket for that. What are you doing? What? Who, me? What? It's just, why are you on the sidewalk? Well,
I don't want to get hit. Those guys are bigger out there.
It was very trafficky, Had that Vespa long? No. Why do you ask? Well, probably was a good idea if you didn't ride on the sidewalk. Do you suppose? Okay, sure.
Oh, the blonde trick, huh?
The blonde trick. Well, I tell you what, my favorite blonde trick, I think that was a pretty good, but I thought one of my favorite ones was when Cinnamon she was going to college and she got stopped by a policeman for having an expired inspection sticker. And she said to him, "How do you know that? Are you psychic?" And he said, "No." He said, "See that number up there? That means that if it's gone, that's the month and you're expired." "Oh," she says, "I didn't know. My dad does all that." He totally bought that and just let her go. We've been, but it's true. I
bet a guy wouldn't get away with that.
No, a guy would never get away with that. But girls can get away with a little more than that, and and in all fairness, she wasn't in charge of. She wasn't being asked to get her own safety inspection. She was in college. I think somebody else was in charge of that.
We have a question. This is a very important. This is the question of the day, I'm sure.
Oh no, really? Did you bring the gong from the other room? Did you need to get it?
No, I don't really think it will be. But how does Ginger clean her paint rags?
How does Ginger clean these paint rags? You can put them in the wash machine.
There you go.
The paint's not going to come off.
Nope.
So you can put them in the wash machine. But, I buy a big bundle of these from Costco. And, once a year. I'm about due for some new ones. But, you can also use, old towels, old beach towels. This is sort of moving here. Old beach towels and stuff like that. And then, or an old hand towel. And then buy yourself some new towels. Good excuse, right? Get yourself some new towels here. All right, so see how we're blending in some more snow here, you guys. Can you back me up here a little bit, John? I want to see that's where I'm going with this.
I can.
All right, so that's sort of pretty. Look at that.
Sort of pretty. I think it's looking pretty darn nice.
Well, thank you. All right, so we're going to keep getting lighter now. So I want a little bit of a light coming through here now, like this, in the blues. See, I'm going to just sort of run like this, and I want it all sort of out of focus. Here, I want a little light streak. It helps to have the sketch because I've already made my mind up of where I want this stuff, right? And I know I want something kind of light underneath this bench, like this.
Do we really have a light source in this particular case?
Well, the lantern is the light source. This lantern is the light
Okay.
source. Is your light source. And so everything else is, see, even here, there's probably some sort of light source in this picture, on the photo over here, which you're
Well.
not showing, but I'm pointing to it. But there is
That
a light
picture
source
there it is. That picture there.
Yeah, this picture here, there's a light source, okay? And see all these shadows, which I thought was really pretty. And so we're getting
Yeah, but
up
you
our
kind
own.
of but you made it your own.
So, you know, I want something a little bit lighter through here, and then we'll put some yellow over it and lightening this up.
No, apparently you're helping somebody do an airplane. I have to go back up to see who that was.
An airplane.
Rachel.
Oh yeah, Rachel's doing an airplane.
Ginger, my airplane painting, where do I place the shadow? The light would be coming from the left.
Well, look, you know, when I was looking at your photo, Rachel, you had the belly of the plane has to be round, just like that cylinder exercise. So you've got to just, you know, the light. If you've got a round cylinder, the light's on top. It's got to be dark underneath, just like anything that's round. All right. So let's see. It's time to mist this paint. So your airplane was fine. You just need to use those same colors I told you for the shadows on the tarmac. You can use those same colors. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of shadow here, just some blue up here like this. Going to come up here like this and tint some of this up for our snow. Okay, give it a little bit of a blue tint here, like that. Just this is dried a bit now. Okay, like that. And we're going to come over here, do the same thing over here. We're going to add a little bit of blue. Let's take a little more ultramarine blue with that. This side's going to be a little darker. We're going to add a little bit of shadow. But just kind of scrub that right over these trees like this. See? Kind of push this back.
So you're going to kind of push each layer back a little bit deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and then we'll put the highlights on it, right? Like for instance over here, like for instance where this is, you know, maybe a little darker where it's getting a shadow from the next branch, right? Like maybe it's a little darker there.
Right.
Here, this one's shadowing here. I don't know. We're just gonna. It's dark. All right. So we got to do something here. So we're gonna do that, right? Say that's a little bit darker on that tree. And all right. So let's go back to our bench. How are we doing on time?
Who knows?
Who knows? All right.
I don't know.
So.
It's been an hour and a half, maybe.
Oh, come on. Has it been really? Well, a painting party takes like 3 hours to do, you guys.
Well,
That's
it's
how long
9
it takes.
o'clock. We started around 7:30. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I would have hoped to have done this sooner. I'm going to come back up here with some white.
Well, that was a blurry shot. Sorry about that.
I'm going to just come back up here with some white and put this in.
And why are we doing the white? I know why.
Because
Do we know why out there, folks? This is your question of the night.
Yeah, why is the white?
Why is the white there?
So then let's just take some brown and do in our bench here. Let's do it in. Let's draw on our bench here now. We're going to do that. Remember, we're going to draw on our bench. And put it down like that. You'll see me always pinching the brush, okay? So I'm going to say that this is the top part of our bench. It's coming back like that. Even though it's going to be lighter, you got to start with something, okay? Like that. Pinch the brush if I want it to be skinnier. Okay?
Again, it's all about layering.
And let's see. I've got a little bit of yellow oxide, and I'm going to add a little bit of white and brown to that and make a little lighter color. Just come right on top of that like this. All right, and come underneath here and do this for the bottom of the bench like that. That's the back of the seat here.
Oh, you people are so smart. Yellow only covers white.
Yeah, yellow.
See, you guys
white.
do pay attention.
Yeah, and then here, the front of the bench here, this has got to be up, straight up and down here. This has got to be straight up and down, those lines here, because that's not the seat, that's not the boards, that's the front part of the facing of the bench. That's kind of gold.
How do you know when to just add paint or when to glaze?
Glazing is when you have a white color and you want to
Just kind of tint it, right?
just tint it a little bit darker, okay? And I think we're going to, just to make the ease of this, I'm going to show you an easy way here. We're going to just paint the bench brown, okay? And I'm going to paint, let's put a little purple with it. Okay, maybe a little bit of white. Purple, brown, and white. Let's try that. I don't know, did it make any difference? All right, so see here, make sure that this is squared off, okay? I'm going to leave a little space under here where the arm goes. Okay. Now, the thing about painting is wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So if I made this arm dark brown, I'm going to have to just paint that arm out.
I was going to say that arm's just disappearing already.
It's going to disappear. It has to, okay? It has to disappear because I need to paint the bench seats in, okay?
Oh, we had a question here. When will Ginger paint a realistic painting? Well, we've done one. What do we call that one? The book one?
Oh,
yeah. I am focused on your hair.
All right.
There we go.
Here, look here. Here we go. See, and I'm just scraping out the... See, we put the blues dry, so see how we just scraped out the slats here?
I need a camera lens that can go around the curve.
Okay, so then, all right, so then I'll just straighten this out here like this. There we go.
That's pretty sneaky.
I was going to do that right there. And then let's say something dark here. All right, we need something dark here. Ooh, dark, dark. Dark here down on the bottom like that. So this is dark here. And then it's going to come out and around like that. Back down. And this has got to curve back out this way. Now let me just rinse the brush and pinch it so that I've got a nice knife edge on this again. Remember, this has got to come down. This is the back of your bench. It's got to come down here like this and go that way. And about like this. Let's see. Let's take a little purple.
Ooh, that's a good one, Sue. That's what I need. I need a drone flying all over her head.
A drone. A drone.
That's going to be the next one.
A drone.
Just flying around.
Just a scary thought, isn't it? That's a scary thought. Okay, so I'm going to just pull this darker here, pull this darker here. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and paint in our lamp. I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute and dry and paint in our lamp. See how fast we can,
Hey, if I wanted my snow to look more fluffy, what would I have to do to make my snow look more fluffy?
You have to have curved lines, curved, fluffy lines.
A lot more curvies.
A lot more curves. Okay, here's our yellow light, right? Okay, so I'm going to say that, let's see, let's take a little cad red medium and a little yellow. Let's make a little bit of an orange top to this light up here like this. This Ginger's famous light here that she always makes. Okay, and then come down here. Okay, now on a painting this size, it might be nice to just, here's my ruler with the sharp edge here. I want a straight line. I could use the triangle too, okay? We could tape this. We could tape this. But in fact, where's that triangle? Well, where's that triangle?
Should we ask Sammy
I'll put it
again?
behind. No,
Sammy, where's the triangle?
Looks like she found it. All right, so see, got my triangle right here because I want the straight line. So I want to make sure that I have a straight line coming down like this. And I'm using the triangle to get it. Might as well just bring it all the way down like that. Okay. Now.
Oh, that's a cool trick.
Yeah, it's not too bad, right? So then if I'm saying that, I'll put a little purple with this. Say here's the base of the bench, and just a little bit of purple with the cad red medium with it. And then we'll come back up here with a little bit of purple on top of that. Make it a little darker. Like that. I think 16 by 20 is too big a canvas to try to do on a painting like this, John. For a Tuesday night, I think we have to go smaller. I don't want to spend I think it's just too big. That's my feeling. What do you guys think? I just think it's too big. I mean, we're in for a painting here. I'd rather have just done this one again, that size, and let you make it bigger.
Well, I guess we'll have to get the vote of the crowd.
Well, I need to know because I think this is just, I would have had this one done in an hour, right? And this one's taking a little longer to do. I'm going to just get some purple here like that. And, and I'm sorry about that because I really would have liked to have done it bigger.
Don't apologize for taking longer. I've already seen those comments go by. We like longer lessons.
All right. Well, I just feel a little bad about it. Again, but if you went to a painting party with me, you'd be at this for 3 hours with a couple little breaks, okay?
We love it. It's perfect. No, not too big. People love longer. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just, I want to make sure because I don't want it to be too long. Okay, so there's our little lantern.
That's
Now,
looking sweet.
and we haven't put the highlights on it yet, but that gives us, now we're in just a little pointy brush. Now, I want to go into the CAD Red Medium now, and come up here, ooh, big glob of, when you do that, kind of roll your brush, so you just have it, roll it, using a pointy brush, and roll it. I want to come up here like this, over the arm of this bench, and remember I told you we were going to do a question mark here, like this. And that was the easiest way to explain how to do this. Just like a question mark, right like this. See, like this. And then it just comes around. And then comes this way for the bench. Here's the arm coming up like this. There we go. Like that. That's sort of cute, right? And then same thing here. Here's the front of the bench here with a little red. And then we want to come up.
How about a 12 by 16?
Yeah, maybe that would be a little better. I don't know. Same place here. So if this is here, then this has got to be kind of, right? See where this one's starting?
Right.
Then this one has to start here too, like that.
Yep, parallel, straight across.
Yeah, and it's going to curve out like this. Just like this little question mark, right? And then come around like this and out, and then back into the here like that. And then we'll just come back in with some purple to make it darker here like that.
A couple suggested making it part 1 and part 2.
Well, we could do that too, and that we certainly could do that. Okay, and here's our dark. Here's our little bench coming this way. And yeah, and that might be something if you guys think that would be worth doing. Because otherwise, because I don't want to try to get any more complicated than this. Because, these are pretty, this is what we're doing here is fairly simple stuff. But again, you're learning some techniques. It doesn't matter if you use these same techniques for something a lot, more complicated. And I realized that I need this to be lower. Guess what? I can do that. See, people always get the craziest ideas about acrylics, but you can just change anything. If it's dry, you can change it. I need to lower this whole thing right here. Behind this,
just scrub it out.
just take it out. I'm taking it out. When in doubt, throw it out, right? I think I'm going to I need it to be lower.
We don't break it up, please.
There, all right. So there you go. I'm going to lower that. And then I'll come back with the gold.
Some say don't break it up. They like to have one piece. Some say just do different sizes. That was my ear.
Sorry.
That was their ear, too.
Well, you know what? Ever since that last vacation, it seems I've got a little of this cough left. It's just lingered.
Looking
All right.
good.
There's our... All right, so there's our bed. The reason I wanted to do it like this, okay, I have a method for my madness here, was I wanted to put a very nice pattern in here, and that wasn't going to allow me to do that.
Oh, you want a little more space.
Yeah,
You can put a little scroll
a little scroll work on the bench. I thought that would be sort of pretty, but I couldn't do it otherwise. And so, all right, so now I'm into white and yellow, right? And as long as we're doing that, we're going to put some little bit of white and yellow light areas underneath our bench now too. Okay. I'm going to start putting in this pattern. Try not to make straight lines. If you're thinking about a light being a little bit diffused, you wouldn't want it, unless it's the lamppost or something. Try to make these, let's see, let's put a little CAD with that, CAD yellow medium with that. Let's put, try to make them a little bit more like puzzle pieces in the sense that they're kind of irregular, the shapes. That's what I want you to go for, irregular shapes. I finally figured out how to tell people how to do branches in deciduous trees. That's the right word, when they lose their leaves, right?
Right.
Gonna put some yellow here, bring it out here like that. I need a backup for me. Can you do that? Can you
I
back
can
me
do
up?
that. Absolutely. Here we
Can you
go.
back me up here?
Here's a
I need a
backup.
little backup. So you'll need to see where my yellow's coming. Light from the snow under here, from this light here. There's going to be some light back here too.
Well, the consensus is do what's ever easiest for Ginger.
Okay. Well, anyway, I realize I get a lot when people paint those, those long, branches and stuff on trees with no leaves. They end up getting branches that look like spaghetti noodles. And I was trying to think of a way to explain it, what you want, how you want them to be, and you want them to be like cracks in cement. I thought that was a good explanation. So, but this you want to be soft. All right, now let's take a little bit of cad red medium, a little bit of yellow, come back up here to our light and add a little bit of orange up in here like that. Just a couple places, and a little bit more of the yellow. There we go, kind of bright. You're going to brighten up this lantern. All right, now let's do a little bit of a light coming underneath it. Now, let's come on down the front. Take it and pinch it, and let's just come on down the front here and lighten this up. Then down here on the top, here we go. Let's put a little shading on this. See where I'm doing that? A little bit of shading there on our stuff. That's kind of cute. And let's see what else. Oh yeah. Well, that has to dry before we can do anything else. And let's see, on this bench in the picture, they had some blue shadows on it because they had snow all over the bench. I thought that wasn't conducive to putting our I don't think anybody would have put a gift on a bench that was just full of snow. That snow had to have been cleared off. All right. So let's make sure we've got this like that. Going over some of these lines a bit like that. Getting the shadow underneath here. And now make sure we've got some dark here on this side. And if you find yourself painting something and nothing happens, get more paint. I'm right into the purple here, like that. And let's get a little bit of light color. There we go. Maybe we got some snow hanging off of here like that. All right, okay, so there's our little lantern. I think that's sort of cute. Now, if we have a lantern there, we've got to start putting some snow on the trees. So, that being said, let's get some white now. All right, now all this was in shadow. Now we're going to start putting, this is titanium white here. Now we're going to start putting some white on some of this, like that. See, but leave some of the shadow color on the snow, okay? It's coming up around here like this.
So this is another pile of snow on top.
Yeah, well, it's where the light caught it. Okay, all right. So where the light's catching the snow. All right, and then also we're gonna actually tint it a little bit yellow where the lantern is, and then just come back up here, not so heavy, but up here on the tree, just a few little light highlights. Just doesn't have to be too, perfectly white, but it's got to be slightly lighter than what we had here. So, just as my next layer, see? And then here, oh, there's some yellow here, so I'll just tap that on there right now. I had a little yellow on the brush there like that for this.
And that yellow is not from a tall dog. That's from the lamp.
That's from the lamp. Oh, what is with you and the tall dogs? Where does this come from, John?
Hey, it's yellow snow. Hey, I'm from Michigan. You see yellow snow, you don't eat it.
Well, who eats snow anyway?
Oh, you've never had snow cream? Oh, in the West Michigan, you get snow cream because it's so dry.
What? I don't know. No, and I spent my winters in Seattle, and we had snow.
It wasn't dry snow.
It was wet. It was wet.
No, you can't have snow. No, you can't have snow scream with snow scream with.
All right, let's put a little bit of the little orange on the bench here, like this. Just a little bit coming across here, maybe a little bit. Let's warm up some of this snow here a little bit, just with a little orange. Just barely touch it. It's coming up here like this from our lantern. See, a little bit of orange. Just see, we're just gonna say right behind the lantern. That's kind of nice, right? Where this was. Okay. All right, okay, I need to back up just a hair if you can kind of show me what I'm doing.
Back up just a hair.
Okay, so now, see, and I'm glad you did that because I can see that I need to bring some snow across here like that. See, like that, just on this one. All right, like that. All right, and then bring something this way. All right, good, thank you. Needed to see that from a distance so I could kind of see where I might have to come back up and break something up. Do I need to come back with some green and break up something in a couple places? And I can do that, all right? So your shapes are important. So if you got a little bit nuts with your snow, you can come back and add some dark underneath, all right? You certainly can. You can come back and say, okay, there's some dark. Maybe I want this real dark green right there.
I'm not the only one that eats snow. Everybody's chiming in.
Well,
If you're from the north, you eat the snow.
At a ski hill where they don't have dogs running around, you know what I mean?
Well, they have St. Bernards to protect you guys?
Only in Switzerland. We had apparently in Switzerland we had those. I never saw one. Apparently, they were rumored to be around. How's that? Okay, so now I want a little bit lighter snow over here, not as light as that, but I'm going to go lighter over here too. All right. So now here's our next light. This is like almost a light blue here. Here's our next lighter layer of snow on these trees. Okay. So it's a very light blue. It's not pure white anymore. In fact, we'll put a little bit. Here you go. It's just too white. Okay, like that. A little bit lighter here, like that. Okay. Down here, just because they're going to be catching. It's going to be, these trees are going to catch the light from the city a little bit. Okay. You know, like that. And then we need to put, we really need to add some. We need to sort of bury our stuff. Okay. We need to bury our lamppost like that. We're going to, come back with some.
So you start doing little mounds.
Yeah, we just got to start mounting some snow here. I'm just going to bury things. And now we're into the blues again and whites, kind of the soft blues and grays. You don't have to be, that concerned about getting the colors exact anymore. We're sort of burying some of this like that. I'm going to do that. Let's see, I want a bigger brush again for this. So I need you to back way up for me, because I have to see the general picture of where I'm going. So if I know I want, for instance, I want some mounds of snow going this way and up like that, and you keep going, and that's close.
Well, I keep going back when you look. Just deal with me. Deal with me.
Okay. I guess I have to. I need to see.
You can come over here and press the buttons.
No, I just need. I want a shadow here. See, so I've got a little blue here. So I'm going to say that there's a shadow here from some of this stuff here that's coming out this way, and bringing it in here and bring a shadow, like that. Make sure that the edges are all out of focus. Snow, all right. We're just going to start bringing in some shadows. Maybe bring something in this way. All right. See how we did here, like that. Gonna glaze over some of this now. Just push these back there, that way. Okay, so that being said, all right, I like that. All right, just tape a little of this blue here. All right, let's tap that out. All right, okay, that looks pretty good. Now, for the small thing on the bench, which is where? Small thing on the bench, I just took, the pattern I did was imagine like a little tree branches, okay? Kind of a swirling tree branches like this. And, there's no, I'm just making an interesting pattern. And I've got the tip of my brush, just this tiny brush like this. And I'm, maybe coming around like this. You could do your initials. That would be cute. Maybe work on a pattern before you start, okay? I would say do that. And because I didn't like the pattern that was on the bench, and let's see, I need to miss that. You want just the tiniest bit of water on the tip of your brush when you do this, because it should flow like ink. If it's not flowing like ink, then you want to regroup what you've got going here. All right, let's just bring that down here just a little bit more. You could do this with a permanent marker too, if you just didn't want to fool with the brush. Some people have trouble, getting that exact thing with the brush. And I'm going to just say it came like that. And then what I did, kind of almost like a little tree pattern, is I came in here with orange, cad red medium, which you don't want a big glob of. You want to roll it off your brush like that. And I want to come up here like this with a bit of red and just add some leaves. Just sort of touch it like that. with some little, isn't that cute? I mean, it doesn't take much to do that. Okay. So, John, now that you've had a Houston winter, what do you think? Or part of it, anyway.
It's a lot better than a Michigan winter. I don't miss the snow.
Don't miss the snow. Well, I used to like the snow in Aspen, and I used to love snow as a kid.
Oh, yeah, but you've been in it for 30 years. I've had enough of it.
Yeah. But, if you're the guy shoveling it, it's less fun, right?
Right.
And that's just absolutely
Doesn't
true.
matter how fancy the snowblower you get.
Did you have a snowblower?
Oh, you have to.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a little electric one.
Okay. So I think I like a little bit of that orange on this light post, too. Just a little bit of red on that light post. That doesn't hurt anything. Just put a little red on that light post. There you go. There. And you could do the same thing over here on the base of this, too. Some sort of little tree decoration like that on here, like that. Just do something if you want to get real clever on the base of this part right here. Okay. And again, put a little bit of, dark, something like that on your bench.
Yes, we have a class tomorrow, for those who are asking. Wednesday, 7:30
But it's not
p.m.
going to be this long. It's not going to be this
Oh,
marathon class. We're sorry. I feel bad about this. I just didn't think.
No, don't
I thought
feel
we could
bad.
do this hour and a half max, and we just keep going. And I feel bad about it. Now I want a little bit of snow on the top of these. Maybe. But we need to put the gift in. So, all right. So what's in the gift, you guys? What do you think's in the gift? What do you imagine's in the gift?
Oh, they had all kinds of things.
What kind of things did they say was in the gift?
A gift certificate for Ginger Cook live classes.
Oh, well, the reason it came up is that John, when we were talking about this, a mystery, what would be in a gift? Who would leave this anonymous gift? All right, right now I'm just making a rectangle, and with a V at the bottom to indicate two sides, like that. And then I'll take some white, make the top of it lighter like that. There's the top of my. Well, I didn't really want blue, but okay. That'll go in here like this. There's our top of it. Okay, and then we're going to say this is the. All right, there we go. Something like that. There's our gift. A little box is what we're making. A little kind of a little box here. So I thought that maybe like $1 million or something, like something. Go find it. This is worth $1 million if you go here and here or something like that. And John said there was a teddy bear in the gift. If it was for a kid, the kid wouldn't know anything about $1 million. The teddy bear would mean more. Now, of course, we're looking at Sammy here, so I understand that. But Sammy and John thought for sure it was a bear in the box. But I thought it was an interesting, almost, what people thought was valuable. You know what I mean? And I don't think you're wrong, John, about the teddy bear. I really don't. But I just thought it was interesting. That we all had different ideas about what would be in the box.
Well, seeing how you've made a tall box, it looks like it's a bottle of wine, but not for a kid.
It's not that tall a box.
It does look like a wine box. I have to agree with Stephanie on that one. Bottle of wine, yep, it's coming through now. Schnapps.
All right, I'm squaring it up here. All right, I'm squaring it up.
Hey, we're just saying. We're calling them like we see them.
Oh my gosh, where does this come from? All right, I've straightened it up. It's more of a square now, and I got to put some purple in here to make one side darker. All right, yellow, grays, purple.
Oh, tomorrow's class? Clouds.
Clouds. We're doing clouds tomorrow. Clouds. We're doing clouds tomorrow. All right, there's the box. All right, that's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
I've got to dry that. Okay, real quick.
Oh no, here we go.
Well, you know what? I don't have to dry it. Let's just put while that's drying. Let's put the let's push the Eiffel Tower way in the background, okay? Because that was the plan.
That. Yeah.
Let's just do that instead of taking the time drying it. That's no fun. All right, there. Okay, so we got there's. Oh, I'm liking this. Okay, so now, here's sort of a round brush we could use, and what do I got? And you're going, we don't know. You're there and we're here. What are you talking about? Well, I think I want a paper plate. And I want some mixing white. And I'm going to move this out of the way. And I want some mixing white. Okay?
Mixing
right.
white it is.
Now, mixing white is what it is, and I'm going to wet the brush. No, I'm going to try it without the brush wet. I'm just going to come in here like this, roll the brush like this, and I think I want a tiny, where'd that other plate go? I want a tiny bit of that gray color in it. So I'm going to tint this just slightly with a little bit of the blue-gray color. Just slightly. What is that? Piece of something. All right, just slightly I'm going to tint that a little bit because I want this to... Mixing white is a translucent color, okay? And I want to go over... Let's see, I'm going to wipe off the brush here. Let's dump that rag out of the way. Wipe off the brush like this, and I'm using those circles, and I'm just going to start pushing the city back. See what I'm doing? You're barely going to see the city now. And I'm going to start pushing my Eiffel Tower back. And just coming. You can scrub with this brush and not worry about anything. See? It's had plenty of time to dry. Just see how this is all just sort of disappearing. And here we go. We're going to just take this. This is sort of a snowy day. And we're just going to come around here like this. Pushing really hard. I've got to tell you, pushing really hard, making circles like that, and just pushing that out.
So you're basically dry brushing that on.
I'm dry brushing this on. If you put water with it, it doesn't work, okay? So I'm going to just come, and if you get too much paint on the brush, you'll just paint out the tower, which we don't want to do either. So what we're doing here is we're just sort of shoving this on here like this, and just saying that this is way in the background. And every few minutes I'm going to get more paint and see what's happening here. Our observation tower. It's all going. So we didn't have to paint this. The reason we didn't have to paint this Eiffel Tower that perfectly was because we were kind of erasing it. We're suggesting that it's there. And you could do this with anything. You could have made trees all back here or something. Kind of made a cosp of trees or something, or maybe made that out of a cliff, an ocean. I mean, you could put this bench anywhere really. But I just thought this was sort of a neat idea. Everybody likes the Eiffel Tower and the idea of, winter in Paris. It's very inexpensive. Airfare is always less expensive when you go this time of year. So let's see. Let's just for sure pull it back here down toward our trees and just kind of push this. All the trees are in the background here, kind of disappearing like that in the fog and in the snow, right? Same thing here. We're going to just sort of push these back. Not talk about them. I like that. Don't you not like that? Now, give me a little backup view. Let me see how I did here.
Backing up. Now.
Oh, see, I think that's kind of cool. Don't you think that's kind of cool? And you can do a little more. We could do a little more up here if we wanted to, but you get the idea. Just push all this back. And so we have this gray sky. Now I'm going to do the same thing a little bit with some of this just in the front here. We'll just kind of gray this in here too. Now I'm out of paint. So that's all right.
What do you mean you're out
Where
of
did I
paint?
put it? Well, I had a lot of mixing white, but I used it up.
That one tube you just had?
Well, I didn't use the whole tube up. I only put like about a tablespoon out.
And you couldn't find it now?
Well, I have it. I just put it here. I found it. It's off the plate. See, in other words, I want to just say that there's this. I'm just going to sort of just mist this all back here too, in the. Just here. Let's just get it. Let's put our city way back here. Way back here. We don't want to talk about the city anymore. Okay. We're not talking about any of this except our little bench, and all of this. Okay. So there. So that's that, and then. We'll take, we want a few little light yellow highlights with the white, a little bit of yellow. We want a few little light yellow highlights in here like this. Just bring it up here like this from there. Just come here like that. And then more out this way. Or in other words, the snow's brighter here as we come forward.
As you get closer to the light source.
And so we get closer to the light source, and we might put a little bit more.
That's zinc white or mixing white? Basically?
This is a zinc white, or rather zinc white. Not zinc, it's mixing white. And this is titanium now. We're using titanium now, for over here with the yellow. Okay, and I'm just saying that there's some of this in here like that, and there's this light here on the
And basically the mixing white is a 50-50 mix
Yeah.
of zinc and
And
titanium.
I might even put a little bit of this. Just suggest a little yellow on this tree. Just here over here. Just might put a little bit there. Just it might be some right there. And then I think I'm going to take some of that mixing white. I'm going to use it up here. Here's some of this mixing white. And I'm going to just add a little bit here like this. I want a little bit lighter snow around here, kind of under the bench a bit here. I'm just going to put some little bit of this up here like this. Kind of brighten it up in here and then kind of fuzz that out. I don't want any, again, I don't want any hard lines here like that. And again,
oh yeah, she did find her remote. No, not really. I found her remote.
It doesn't work though. Why doesn't it work?
Well, we don't know why it doesn't work, but it doesn't work. But we did find the second remote that was lost. It was in a drawer. Dropped in a drawer. Buried.
Buried in a drawer. I think it fell in the drawer. It wasn't
Well,
put
yeah,
in
it
there.
fell. Yeah, no, it definitely was not put away. No, we
Okay.
don't do that.
What are you talking about? We don't put away. Listen, you're a fine one to talk about what we don't do, right? I'm just to put away stuff. And wow, you really don't want to start that conversation, do you?
No, we probably shouldn't start that one.
You just really, people that live in glass houses, should dress in the basement. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm just telling you, it's time to consider that. All right, so here we go with this. We're going to put a little more snow up here on the top of our.
Somebody wants to know if you can't just water down titanium and make it transparent.
You can't. It's just
It's
you,
too pure.
you think you could, but you can't. It's not.
Yeah, we
can't.
tried the batteries. Didn't make a difference.
All right, so now we're going to put the bow on the gift. All right.
Oh, sweet. Let's zoom in for that then, shall we?
So let's now we could. I'm just using cad red medium. I'm just using the same stuff, but we could do a pink bow or red's nice.
No. It's got to be a generic.
Just generic. All right. I'm just saying. Here's the.
Here's the ribbons.
The ribbons, right? Like that. Here's our ribbons, and then up here like this. I'm just going to come up here like this, with kind of almost like a top notch here, on top of the bow, and then just put a little purple shadow, a couple places. There's our bow here.
Do you use purple for all your shadows?
Yeah, a lot. I do. I use it a lot. And then I want to just say, I want to just sort of define that, box a little bit. There. All right. So there's I think that's sort of cute. There's our gift.
Let's back her out.
Let's just back it out. And I'm looking here. I need to run the white off this. That's why that's why I need to back it out once in a while. So I need to run this light yellow off the canvas here. Let me just test that. That's green now. I've got my palette's sort of contaminated. That yellow's contaminated with other colors, so I'm going to have to start. Where's that plate? I bet I could use that. All right, I'll use that plate and some of this white here because I didn't want it green, but all right, I'm going to.
Okay, that white was titanium white.
That was titanium, yeah, and I just I wanted to bring this light across here like this, kind of exaggerate this a little bit, where the light is, all right, like this, and there. So this is where you have to just spend a little bit of time on that, like that, exaggerate it, and
Hey, Ginger.
yeah.
When you're not teaching, what do you usually paint? Floral, abstracts, water, Sammy?
Well, since I've been teaching pretty much nonstop for the last year, that's really a hard question to answer. Because I've been teaching nonstop really for the last year. I'm going to just take a little bit more. This is titanium now. I want just a little bit more white here.
What would you like to paint?
Well, I love painting oceans. I love painting oceans and water. I like painting landscapes. I like painting the gardens that I don't seem to be able to grow myself.
Oh, that's a good garden that way.
I like to, I love painting gardens and flower gardens. Not so much still lifes are in the, let's see, you know what, we're out of phthalo, and I can't, it's too contaminated to use. Here we go. I want some of the lighter phthalo here. Just see what I mean? We're just, there we go. We needed some color in this picture, you guys, and a little bit of ultramarine blue with it. There we go. I needed some more blues in here. Kind of, remember we lost a little of that turquoise too. which would have been nice to have too. Little turquoise blue. I really think turquoise sometimes is just the thing in a, up front here. Oh, beautiful. There we go. Let's pull some turquoise up here like this. And again, I know you're watching the brush strokes. But I'm going to just, at home, for instance, if, when we're normally, if I'm just painting this myself, I watch the whole thing in a monitor, or I have a mirror behind me and I just turn around and look in the mirror and see where I'm going with the picture. Really important to back up what you're painting. Particularly when you're on, if it's little, it's pretty easy. When it's this size, you've got to get back from it. John, can you get me back from this a little bit?
I think
you're just too close to me for right now. That's just too close, and there's the palette. And I need to back up from this. Yeah, see, otherwise I can't tell what I've got. I've got to put some holes in this blue here, which means I need a smaller brush. And I need to just put a few little holes in there. And all right, now there we go. See, I need a few little shadow holes, just like on snow. Snow, or a little bit of shadow holes in my yellow. Okay, I need to break that up a bit. And in my snow. I tell you what, I really think I would have been happier if I'd done all the snow in a blending medium, with a blending medium. The way this is a drawing, we've got two things are happening for us here. It is drawing like crazy on the canvas because of all these lights. We've got so many more lights than I would normally have, okay? So it's drying very quickly. And for instance, I'm looking at this going, I know that I want this a little bit lighter back here behind the bench here, and I want some snow I want that tree buried a little bit in the snow, and maybe some, something going back. All right, well, I think we're pretty close. How's this look to you? Does that look pretty good?
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
Okay, so backing up, I don't know. I think that's sort of cute with our bench, and we just have to finish this other leg here, like this. Yeah, we need to show a leg going back this way on the bench. But I would say we did pretty well with our bench here, like that, and our dark line like that. And your chalk lines will wipe off tomorrow when everything is dry. So I might, for instance, and I'll tell you what, I could easily spend another 30 minutes just
playing, touching up,
just touching up,
adding
here,
the details,
just adding details, touching up, adding some snow on top of the bench, like this.
That medium you were talking about wasn't called magical. What was it called?
What?
The medium that you wanted to use. Since you're drying so fast.
Oh, I wanted to use, I tell you what, I would have used...
the Grumbacher, right?
The Grumbacher medium. I do like that, and I would have used that.
We use that in the Waving Water?
I use that in the Waving Water consistently, and it would have been this Grumbacher.
Oh, wait.
I can show you in the palette.
Yeah, put there. There we go. Put in the palette again.
Yeah, I would have shown this.
Put it so we can... There we go.
Well, where are you?
Oh, I'm on the preview. Sorry. Okay, now.
I would have shown. I would have used this. I would have used this Grumbacher, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just sort of curious if I did anything now, what it would do, because I'm not getting the blending.
Notice how clear it is.
Yeah, it's totally clear, and I'm not getting the blending that I'm liking. Here's a clean brush. Let me just play with this for a minute, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Let me get to the close-up.
Yeah, I'm just going to play with this for just a second. You can see what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, see how this is blending now? And this one color is all melting into another. That's nice. I like that. And here's, remember I told you I wanted a little phthalo blue here and maybe a little bit down here. Here's the medium. Here's a little bit of color. You can, just add a bit. So if you're having trouble, there's, it depends on the climate. Some people's color dries off, dries out really quick. You know what I mean? Because of the heat, or in our case, the lights, things are drying out. But yeah, that's nice. And I want this a little darker over here, because it'll stay. The thing of it is this will stay wet. And if I want a little bit darker, I'll just put a little white with that, like that. See, and then put another little color here with it, like this. There we go. All right, now see, that's blending for me really nicely, like this. Now I've got to be careful with the yellow, but here, come back here. Now I can take another color here like that, wipe it off the brush, and then blend that in. So, and that's sort of, I wanted it a little bit softer. Than I wasn't getting the soft look I wanted, a little bit more out of focus. So that kind of works. I can come back and still work some of this in. So yeah, that's pretty good here, like that. And honestly, you know, you would have around this tree like this. Oh yeah, we didn't do the. Here, let's just come back around this tree, and then let's just do that with the bench. See, that's nice. See, with the lamppost, and come back like that. Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, see, I'm even happier with that. And I think I had a little tiny tree
look at
right
the effect
here.
that gives.
Here's a little tiny tree
Really
right
soft
there.
effect coming into the bench.
Yeah, it did soften it, didn't it? And here's a little bush coming up here like that.
Looks like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
It sort of does, doesn't it? You know, but you know, that sometimes something like that just can make a little difference. And it had some little orange leaves on it, as I recall. You know, sort of matched the bench here. Maybe not that bright. Let's take some yellow here. Just a couple little leaves here, like that, off of this. All right, so there's okay, and that's pretty good here. I would say we were in good shape. All right, that's how you're going to make this bigger. Our little picture bigger. This is our bench and your stuff. There we go. And back is way up. And there we are. I'd say that that's our Eiffel Tower way in the background. And if you wanted to, you could come back and in a couple of places, you could add a few little light spots to your city. All right, with a little yellow, you could do that.
Just to kind of pop it back out a
Just,
little bit.
just you know, I buried it a little bit, but now I can add. Just you know, you don't have to do a lot. Not every. You've got some that are out of focus and some that are closer. You could just in a couple places on the Eiffel Tower if you wanted to. You could just add a bit. But I wouldn't start decorating the trees or putting lights or anything on the trees because you want to keep this pretty simple. That would be the main thing, is keep that fairly simple, and because the main focus here is your bench, and it might have come back a little bit light in here a little bit more, a few places. Just lighten that up. Now, see, once you let me back up from it, and I can see what we've got, then I might want to lighten up the snow a little bit someplace, and I'm using up some paint anyway, you know, maybe a little bit lighter. Here's where the snow might be a little bit wider. Comes back under here like this, and you know, something like this, you know, can put a little bit lighter. There we go. Just run it off. Okay. All right, there we go. I think we did pretty good. I'm sorry, what is this thing? That's like the Gilligan's Island afternoon with the 3-hour tour that turned into, what, 10 seasons? Or
couple of hours, come on, you
10
did good.
seasons, there we go. All right, so there we are. The gift.
Hey, the good news is it's going to stay up. Unlike some of our people that were with us that dropped off.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, how long is this woman going to sit here and paint on this stupid snowsuit? I mean, I get it, right? I mean, I get it, right? How long is that going to happen?
And here she is, still painting on the stupid little snow scene.
Well, I mean, wherever there's a light, there's a dark, and this little branch wasn't showing, so I had to kind of put a little snow on the branch. Those are the kinds of things you do.
It brings it all together, absolutely. Well, like you said, you could spend a couple of hours doing it.
Yeah, I mean, people always say, how long does it take you to paint something? It depends on the size, how complicated it is.
Well, that big waving water we just did, what was that, 8 hours of painting?
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, some take longer.
Yeah, brighten up this.
Hey, we do want to remind everybody, we are coming up on the final days of our super holiday special, where you can get a membership, a year's membership, at the regular price, but the advantage is you get 12 downloadable lessons throughout the year.
Yeah, that's really that's a gift from us. That's a huge gift because up to a $50 value for each lesson. Okay?
And then the other advantage is you've locked in your price, because our prices are going up January 1st, 10% across the board.
Yeah.
Canvases getting more, paints are getting more, we're doing bigger.
doing bigger, but I think the quality is really good. And we'll do some small, very, very detailed pieces. We're trying to do some general. The idea was to do a painting like this was to make it, doable for anybody. If you've never painted before, you ought to be able to do this. It's pretty simple, but you get an idea of how you mix colors, how you layer, because it's just sometimes when you're painting, you just haven't put enough paint on the canvas. That could be it too. And this, if you can, John's very good about letting you see. He zooms in with those cameras and shows you right what I'm doing with the brush. And look, most of the paint's left on here. I mean, I still had a lot of paint left. Probably didn't need to put that much out. But we appreciate you subscribing, sharing these videos, telling your friends about us. We appreciate it very much. And we'll be doing fun things all the time. Tomorrow we're going to really focus on small canvases and clouds. I'll tell you what, we're really going to get that cloud business down. So I hope you join me tomorrow. And thanks for watching.
I really appreciate it, everybody. And remember, visit us at gingercooklive.gallery. Look for the holiday special. You can use the Contact Us form for more details. Anything you don't understand. And for members who have sent in a lesson to be critiqued and you haven't heard from us, give us 2 to 3 days typically. Just drop us a reminder. Hey, did you get it? Just before, let us know. So
that's
we can make sure
business
we
days,
look
you guys. That's business. If you send it to me on a Saturday, you got to count Monday as the first day.
Right.
Because sometimes we're off on weekends. We don't always see it, but we will get back to you, okay? We will. And incidentally, all our members that have previously been, if you're a current member, remember your price is grandfathered in forever. We won't raise it on you.
Yeah, as long as you stay active,
And don't drop
you keep
us.
the prices.
You're grandfathered in, regardless of what happens. So I thought that was nice too. Good to know.
All right, everyone. Thanks you very much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Central.
That's Texas time.
That is Texas time. Thank you, Ginger.
Bye, John.
Bye, Ginger.
Bye, Sammy.